My 8-month pregnant sister-in-law was pushed down, suffering a massive hemorrhage, and was rushed to the hospital. I drove past, rolled up the window, pretended not to see anything, and stepped on the gas to leave. In my previous life, when I passed by, I discovered my sister-in-law unconscious from a massive hemorrhage and immediately took her to the hospital, but the situation was critical. After the massive hemorrhage, an amniotic fluid embolism occurred. My husband was the best obstetrician gynecologist in the city. I called him, begging him to come to the hospital quickly, but he thought I was just jealous that he was having dinner with his first love's family, throwing a tantrum and using his sister's accident to force him to come back. By the time his family finally arrived, his sister had already passed away due to a failed treatment for amniotic fluid embolism. His entire family blamed his sister's death on me, believing that I had deliberately caused my husband's misunderstanding and led to her death. My brother-in-law, who had rushed back from out of town, believed their slander and, in his overwhelming grief, hacked me to death at my sister-in-law's funeral. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my sister-in-law was pushed and suffered a massive hemorrhage. My mind was in a daze, and as the red light ahead flashed, I instinctively slammed on the brakes and stopped at the intersection. Screams and shouts erupted from the roadside. "Call an ambulance quickly, there's a pregnant woman who has fallen and is bleeding heavily." My hand immediately grasped the door handle, but as I pushed the car door open, images of my husband and his family pointing their fingers at me, shouting and blaming me for causing my sister-in-law's death, flooded my mind, and I placed my hand on my stomach, which had once been hacked into a pulp by my sister-in-law's husband. The phantom pain caused my entire body's muscles to start cramping up. I retracted my hand, and as the green light turned on, I stepped on the gas without hesitation and drove away. To prevent my in-laws from finding a scapegoat and shifting the blame onto me again, I went straight to my mother-in-law's house. "Mom, Chen Yen is working overtime today, so I bought some fish to bring over." I entered the house, pretending not to notice my mother-in-law's flustered and guilty expression as she ended the video call. "Yeah, is here," before my mother-in-law could finish her sentence. The phone rang. Her face turned pale as soon as she answered, tears welling up instantly. Her legs gave way, and she stumbled towards me. Hurry to the hospital." Yang fell down. I already knew, but I put on a shocked expression, helped my mother-in-law into the car, and rushed to the maternity hospital as quickly as possible. My husband works here, in this life, without my intervention. It was a passerby who called an ambulance to take my sister-in-law to the hospital. By the time we arrived, my sister-in-law had already been taken into the operating room. Family members of the patient, sign here. The pregnant woman, at 32 weeks, fell and is experiencing heavy bleeding. A cesarean section is necessary. In my previous life, it was the same. My mother-in-law signed with trembling hands. I said to my mother-in-law, "Chen Yen is the best obstetrician gynecologist in the city. He's working overtime today, but just in case, I'll call him over." My mother-in-law hesitated for a moment, then nodded. I called Chen Yen 3 times in a row, but no one answered. "Mom, Chen Yen might be busy. I'll go to their department to find him." My mother-in-law's eyes flickered, and she nodded at me. After I left, she called Chen Yen herself. I knew he wasn't at the hospital, so I certainly wouldn't waste my energy looking for him. I stood in the stairwell, watching my mother-in-law repeatedly dial Chen Yen's number. Her expression changed from calm to anxious, and then to one of desperation with tears streaming down her face. I couldn't help but curl my lips into a smile. She must not know that her good son, in order to quietly accompany his first love, had long ago set his phone to silent. Before I entered, it was Chen Yen who had just made a video call to his mother, just to keep her around longer and prevent her from disturbing his rendezvous with his first love. Seeing his mother like an ant on a hot pan, I deliberately ran back panting. "Mom, Chen Yen's colleague said he's not working overtime today, but he's not answering my calls." A flicker of guilt crossed my mother-in-law's face, but she still covered for Chen Yen. "Maybe he was called away. If you can't get through, try again later." Just then, Chen Yen's aunt, along with my sister-in-law's parents-in-law, arrived. The aunt glared at me, her brows instantly furrowing. "Where's Chen Yen? Isn't he an obstetrician? What good are you here? Why haven't you called him over yet?" Aunt Chen was my father-in-law's elder sister. After his passing, she took charge of all matters in the Chen family, big and small. In my previous life, the doctor had just announced my sister-in-law's death when, before I could even react, she slapped me twice and said, "You're Yang's sister-in-law. The eldest sister-in-law is like a mother. How could you just watch her die? In this life, I naturally won't give her that chance again." I said with a bitter smile, "Auntie, I can't get in touch with Chen Yan. He told me this morning he was working overtime, but I just went to look for him, and his colleague said he didn't come to the hospital today. I tried calling him, but I couldn't get through. My mother-in-law hesitated for a moment but ultimately said nothing. You're an idiot. If you can't get through, keep trying. Useless, Auntie shrieked. I quickly took out my phone and dialed one number after another. Finally, on the 10th try, the call went through. I immediately put it on speakerphone. Husband, you're sick, calling one after another. Didn't I say I'm working overtime? I'm busy, don't disturb me. Honey, Yang Yang just fell and had a major hemorrhage. She's still in the operating room, and you're not at the hospital. Where are you? There was a pause on the other end of the line, followed by a woman's affected voice. Sister-in-law was worried about you, so she went to the hospital to check up on you. Nyen, your colleagues won't misunderstand you, will they, sister-in-law? You really shouldn't. What's the matter that you can't just ask Nyen directly, going to his workplace and even cursing Yang Yang to have an accident? Your intentions are a bit too malicious, aren't they? No, I didn't. Chen Nyen, Yang Yang is really in the operating room. If you don't believe me, you can get lost. You don't even know how to make up a decent lie. How could Yang Yang fall at her mother-in-law's house? You're just jealous and throwing a tantrum, but you should know your limits. How dare you come to my workplace and cause a scene? If this affects my year-end evaluation, I swear I'll make you pay. Before I could say another word, the call was disconnected. The previously whispering entrance to the operating room fell into complete silence. I forced a bitter smile, pretending to look deeply hurt. The mother-in-law's eyes darted away, and Aunt Chen's face flashed with embarrassment. Not saying anything further, my sister-in-law's in-laws had looks of disdain on their faces, sighing at each other. At that moment, the operating room door suddenly swung open, and a nurse rushed out, her expression tense as she spoke to us urgently. The puerpera has amniotic fluid embolism. You are Dr. Chen's family. Can someone quickly contact him? I blinked, and everything unfolded just as it had in my previous life. My mother-in-law's legs gave way, and she fell straight to the ground. Aunt Chen also couldn't maintain an indifferent demeanor anymore. She quickly called Chen Nyen, murmuring, it's okay, Chen Nyen is the best obstetrician. He's saved several patients with amniotic fluid embolism. He will definitely save Yang Yang. The golden rescue window for amniotic fluid embolism is only a matter of minutes. It's essentially a race between the doctor and the king of hell. Over the past 3 years, Chen Nyen has successfully saved 5 mothers from amniotic fluid embolism, with only 1 failure. As a result, he rose to become the head of the Central Maternity Hospital. Aunt Chen's call connected. She cried out urgently, Chen Nyen, come to the hospital quickly. Your sister has an amniotic fluid embolism. Only you can save her. On the phone, there were sounds of children playing and screaming, as well as the hearty laughter of adults clinking glasses and drinking together. Aunt, Lin Yu is going crazy, and you're joining her in the madness, right? Enough with the commotion. I spend 365 days a year revolving around her, and I just want 1 day of peace and quiet. Can you please leave me alone, Ning Ning? And I have nothing going on. It's just that her family came back, and I'm having a meal with them, just for this 1 day. Can you stop calling me, Chen Nyen? I'm not lying, your sister really is in trouble. She has amniotic fluid embolism, and only you can save her now, and is begging you, please come back quickly, or you'll regret it. I'd regret it if I went back. Chen Nyen's voice was cold, devoid of any warmth. Listening to Chen Nyen's voice, the mother-in-law broke down, clutching her phone and crying out, son, your aunt isn't lying to you. Your sister really is in trouble. Even if you don't believe Lin Yu, even if you don't believe your aunt, how can you not believe me? Come back quickly. I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. To me, the mother-in-law was no good. She knew about Chen Nyen's affair yet helped cover it up, but for Chen Yang, she was a good mother. Chen Nyen, did you hear what your mother said? Would your own mother lie to you? Hurry back now. Aunt Chen was so anxious she was practically jumping up and down. Mom, you, Chen Nyen's voice hesitated. Ah, Nyen go, my eyes are so painful. The woman's delicate cry of pain was accompanied by the sound of an adult scolding a child. How could you shoot marbles at your aunt's face? Suddenly, Chen Nyen's concerned voice came through the phone. By Ning, does it hurt? Don't move, I'm a doctor, let me take a look. Then Chen Nyen's urgent yet cold voice spoke into the phone. Mom, stop acting, even if what you're saying is true, it doesn't matter. I've just had a lot to drink, I can't drive, I can't make it back. With that, he hung up the phone. The phone slipped from his hand and hit the ground. while his mother-in-law also fell to the floor, motionless for a long time. Chen Dagua knelt on the ground, tears streaming silently, murmuring to herself, how did Chen Yan become like this? How could he do this? How could he forsake his own family for a woman outside? Beast, beast, I helped my mother-in-law up, looking at the large bump on her forehead from hitting the ground, truly feeling it wasn't worth it for her to have borne such a son. However, I didn't feel sorry for her, because in my previous life, she also played a part in driving me to my death. After an unknown amount of time, the operating room door opened again. I'm sorry, we did our best. The sister-in-law lost her life along with her unborn child, and the mother-in-law seemed to have lost her soul, refusing to eat or drink, only clutching her daughter-in-law's clothes and crying. Aunt Chen was furious, recounting every detail of what happened at the hospital to every relative, cursing Chen Yan as a beast. The sister-in-law's in-laws, upon learning that the child in her womb was a boy, cried even harder. Zhang Ji, the husband of my sister-in-law, rushed back from out of town that very day. When he saw the deceased mother and child, his face contorted, and his eyes turned red. He simply couldn't accept that. Just 3 days into his business trip, his wife, who had been dreaming of their future as a happy family of 3 before he left, was gone. After learning the truth from his parents, Zhang Ji wiped away his tears and silently worked with me to arrange the funeral. No one thought to inform Chen Yan, especially after learning that he was dining with Bai Ning's family in a hotel across the street from the hospital, not even bothering to come over to verify the facts. Even my mother-in-law was completely disappointed in him. But how could I let Chen Yan miss such a lively and significant event? On the day my sister-in-law was buried in our hometown, I had someone notify him a day in advance. On the day of my sister-in-law's burial, a light rain was falling from the sky. Holding an umbrella, I stood by the car, watching as the crowd carried her coffin out of the mourning tent. In my previous life, it was today that I was brutally murdered by Zhang Ji, my blood mixing with the rain to pave a red carpet for my sister-in-law. Before the coffin even left the door, Chen Yan's car abruptly stopped, and he stormed out, furious, running towards me. I looked at him with a numb expression, not even having the chance to speak. Slap, he looked at the black and white photo I was holding and slapped me across the face. You bitch, how dare you curse my sister just to trick me into coming back? I fell to the ground, the photo and frame slipping from my hands. Mud splattered over half of my sister-in-law's face, leaving only a pair of cold eyes staring silently at Chen Yan, as if observing everything in this world. Chen Yan's eyes were bloodshot and crimson, whether from fear or rage. It had awakened a beast within him. Gone was any trace of his past gentle, refined doctor's demeanor, replaced by a face full of malice as he lunged at me. You bitch, I'll teach you to lie. I'll teach you to curse my sister. I'll beat you to death. I let Chen Yan kick and punch me, only staring at the photo of my sister-in-law, silently thinking in my heart, Chen Yang, you must see clearly who your enemy is. When you go down to report to the king of hell, don't accuse the wrong person. Enough, what are you making a scene for? Hearing the commotion, people inside the mourning hall rushed out. Aunt Chen pushed Chen Yan away, crying and shouting, you beast, your sister could have been saved. We called you so many times, and your mother almost knelt and kowtowed to you. Just because of some little bitch's words, you refused to save her. You killed your sister, and now you're causing trouble at her funeral. What do you want? What exactly do you want? Chen Yan staggered back a few steps, his face showing a forced calmness mixed with fear. Aunt, what are you talking about? How could Yang Yang really be in danger? She was lying to me. How could you all lie to me with her? Is it because she's pregnant, and you're all lying to me for the sake of the child? I curled up my body, letting the rain beat against my face, washing away the tears that streamed down. It turned out that Chen Yan knew I was already pregnant at this time. You all lied to me. I want to see Yang Yang, Yang Yang, Yang Yang, Chen Yan shouted as he rushed toward the mourning hall, only to be forced back the next second. The black coffin was carried slowly out of the door by 8 strong men. You were looking for Yang Yang, weren't you? Yang Yang is here. Aunt Chen wiped the rain from her face and pointed at the coffin with a sarcastic tone. Chen Yan stumbled to the side of the coffin, her feet giving way and falling to the ground. Who are you putting on this act for? Your wife asked you to come back, and you said she was deceiving you. I asked you to come back, and you said I was deceiving you. Your mother even kowtowed to beg you to come back, yet you still said she was deceiving you. Do you really think we're deceiving you, or is it that in your heart, your sister's life is worth less than having a meal with a woman outside? No, it's not like that. Yang Yang is my sister. my little sister whom I've raised since she was young. I treat her like my own daughter. My relationship with Chen Yang was not good. Although she lost her father early, she was cherished like a treasure by my mother-in-law and Chen Yen, which made her spoiled and willful. Moreover, Chen Yen treated me with indifference, and she never showed me any respect. Every time she saw me, she would order me around with a condescending tone. In the past, I was always forced to compete with her for a place in Chen Yen's heart. She won time and again, and Chen Yen always defended her without question. Now, she was finally forced into a competition herself, but a single defeat cost her life. Perhaps this is what they call karma. Slap. Chen Yen's constant evasion angered Aunt Chen, who slapped him hard across the face. I endured the sharp pain in my lower abdomen, feeling only a sense of satisfaction deep down. If my strength hadn't been drained, would have loved to give him a good beating myself. Someone helped me up from the ground, holding my sister-in-law's memorial photo. I stood to the side, head bowed as I carefully wiped away the mud on it. All the while, blood continued to drip down from beneath my skirt. Child, Mom is sorry for you. Go find a pair of parents who are eagerly awaiting your arrival. As soon as I wiped the photo clean, Chen Yen shoved me again with all his might, venting all his anger on me. It's you killed my sister. How could she suddenly fall while staying at home? It's all your fault, you jinx. You owe me my sister. I fell to the ground again, the photo in my hands sinking into the puddle, my feet covered in blood. But whether it was Aunt Chen or Chen Yen, they both acted as if they couldn't see it. Lin Yu, you've always been jealous of Yang Yang, jealous of how much I love her, but she's my own sister. How could you kill her? You murderer, I'll beat you to death. Chen Yen's face was contorted with rage, his expression twisted like a wild beast, devoid of any trace of humanity. He was even more out of control than in my previous life. Right, in my previous life, they had a reason to blame me for my sister-in-law's death because I was the only one waiting outside the operating room, and no one else heard me calling him on the spot. Naturally, he could say whatever he wanted, but in this life, my mother-in-law, Aunt Chen, and my sister-in-law's in-laws all know what he did. He can no longer shirk responsibility. Now he's just furious and humiliated. His words can't even convince himself, so naturally, he's lost control. I swallowed the retort that was on the tip of my tongue, hugged my head, and curled up my body. Today is the day of my sister-in-law's burial. The Chen family doesn't care, and the Zhang family won't let Chen Yen delay the timing. Sure enough, as the coffin was loaded into the car, Zhang Ji supported his father and mother as they walked out of the mourning hall. Chen Yen, get out of here. Don't taint my wife's path to reincarnation. Zhang Ji grabbed Chen Yen by the collar and threw a punch, pinning him to the ground and hitting him twice more. Auntie Chen immediately stepped forward to stop him. Zhang Ji, stop hitting. You'll kill someone if you keep this up. I suppressed the pain all over my body and let out a cold laugh. Truly, a family of the same surname. It's not my fault. It's all her fault. It's Lin Yu. She was jealous of Yang Yang and deliberately misled me, stopping me from coming back. She's the one who killed Yang Yang, Chen Yen roared, still trying to get up from the ground to hit me. Zhang Jiqi's veins were bulging with anger. If his parents hadn't been present, he might have been fooled by Chen Yen. He shoved Chen Yen to the ground and pulled out his phone to show him a surveillance video. It was footage from the day of the incident. In the video, a child suddenly ran over from a distance, pushed his sister-in-law down, kicked her in the stomach, and hurled vicious insults at her, calling her a fat pig and Zhu Beiji. I naturally sent this video to Zhang Ji anonymously. In my previous life, with Chen Yen protecting him, Bai Ning's nephew, the true mastermind, escaped responsibility until my death. This time, I naturally won't let him off. Aren't you going to beat to death the murderer who killed Yang Yang? Look, this little beast is the murderer, Bai Ning's son. Bai Pei, go ahead and beat him to death. Go ahead and do it. Chen Yen clutched Zhang Ji's phone, watching the video over and over again. When he finally recognized the child's face in the video, he shook his head and muttered, No, it can't be Xiao Pei, Bai Ning's nephew. Someone must have tempted him. Chen Yen, Chen Yang is already dead. Why are you still defending outsiders? I held up Chen Yang's black and white photo to him. Look at her. She's your own sister. Chen Yen suddenly turned to me. Yes, it's you. It must be you. You must be the bitch who couldn't stand me dating Ning Ning. Deliberately tempted Xiao Pei, trying to kill both Ning Ning and Yang Yang in one go. I sneered. Chen Yen, you don't love me. You always defend other women, and I accept that, but Chen Yang is your own sister, and she's already dead, yet all you can talk about is Bai Ning. Chen Yen, do you still have any humanity left? As my voice fell, Zhang Ji let out a furious roar and began pounding Chen Yan's face with his fists, over and over again. If it weren't for the relatives and friends present who managed to pull them apart, Chen Yan would have been beaten to death by Zhang Ji. Everyone thought Zhang Ji was just venting his anger in a moment of impulse, but I knew he no longer wanted to live. Unlike the previous life where he had taken a knife to kill me, this time he didn't slash Chen Yan to death. Thanks to the surveillance video I had sent, let him know that it wasn't just Chen Yan who caused Chen Yang's death. There's also Bai Ning and her family. Zhang Ji, you better not let me down. Bai Ning's little nephew, Bai Pei, just turned 12 years old and hasn't reached the age of full criminal responsibility, so Zhang Ji didn't even report it to the police. After the younger sister-in-law was buried, Chen Yan disappeared without a trace, and the mother-in-law, grieving the loss of her beloved daughter, sighed all day long. I took the opportunity to go to the hospital to deal with the child in my womb and then checked into a recuperation center for a week of rest. My mother passed away early, my father remarried and had children, and I haven't been in touch with him for 10 years. I have no family in this world otherwise. In my previous life, the Chen family wouldn't have dared to so blatantly shift the blame onto me. Returning home from the recuperation center, I pushed open the door to a room filled with dust. In the week I hadn't been back, Chen Yan hadn't returned either. I quickly packed my clothes and documents, rented a place, and found a divorce lawyer. Lawyer Wang, help me draft a divorce agreement. I'll leave with nothing. I was afraid that if time dragged on, the Chen family might, for Chen Yan's reputation, blame Chen Yang's death on me. I never doubted that they were capable of such a thing. Did they really not know I was innocent in my previous life? They were just pretending to be ignorant. When I walked into my mother-in-law's house with the divorce agreement, my premonition came true. Lin Yu, how dare you come back? I've already asked Xiao Pei. It was you who incited him to push Yang Yang, you murderer. Chen Yan pointed at me and questioned me sharply. My mother-in-law also looked at me with disbelief, and Aunt Chen's face was full of hatred. I let out a cold laugh and threw the divorce agreement onto the table. Chen Yan, everyone here knows exactly how Chen Yang died. If you insist on blaming me for Chen Yang's death, then let's call the police. Inciting a minor to commit a crime is illegal. Don't call the police, Chen Yan retorted without a second thought. I sneered and looked at my mother-in-law and Aunt Chen. Do you know why he won't call the police? Because it was Bai Ning who urged Bai Pei to push Chen Yang. Shut up, Lin Yu. If you keep spouting nonsense, I'll kill you. Chen Yan interrupted me hoarsely. Smiling, I opened my phone and played the recording. Ning, is what Xiao Pei said true? Did you ask him to push Yang Yang? No, I didn't. Then is Xiao Pei lying? Come on, let's confront him. No, it's not like that, brother Nian. I'm sorry. Yang Yang called me a homewrecker and a slut, and she hit me, which Xiao Pei saw. He's young, naive, and just wanted to avenge me. His aunt, he doesn't understand anything. He didn't mean to harm Yang Yang. Did Yang Yang hit you? Wu, brother Nian, I didn't tell you, but we once had a child, and Yang Yang caused the loss of that child. If it weren't for Xiao Pei, that day, both me and the child would have died together. Ning, you've suffered, brother Nian. For you, I fear no hardship. As the recording played, the anger on Chen Yan's face turned into shame and rage. He rushed over to snatch my phone. I dodged his hand, took 2 steps back, and turned off the recording. Chen Yan, if you tell enough lies, you might even start believing them yourself. Having lived through a lifetime, I understood all too well how inherently selfish the Chen family was, so I naturally had my guard up during my recovery. I had someone follow Bai Ning and Chen Yan, originally intending to capture some intimate photos to force Chen Yan into divorcing me, but I never expected to record this conversation. Chen Yan, is all of this true? Mother-in-law's lips trembled as she looked at Chen Yan with clouded eyes. This time, she couldn't even deceive herself anymore. She could forgive Chen Yan because he was her own son. But what about Bai Ning and Bai Pei? For the sake of outsiders, Chen Yan even disregarded the enmity of his own sister, leaving this mother-in-law, who could only rely on her son after losing her daughter, feeling utterly insecure. If today Chen Yan could disregard his own sister for Bai Ning, then tomorrow he could just as easily forsake his own mother for her. From this moment on, it was no longer just about avenging Chen Yang, but also about ensuring her own security in old age. The mother-in-law would absolutely not let Bai Ning off the hook. Chen Yan, you heartless beast. Sharing the same air as you disgusts me. Sign the papers, and we'll get the divorce certificate at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. Perhaps my tone was too cold, as Chen Yan snapped without hesitation, "You're dreaming." I waved my phone. "You can refuse to sign, but then this recording will be sent to everyone you know." Chen Yan rushed forward, snatched my phone, and smashed it violently to the ground. I took a few steps back to create distance between us. I set up a timed email. "If I don't cancel it by 3 p.m., it will be sent directly to the Central Maternal and Child Health Hospital's official website, major marketing accounts." And Zhangji, "Lin Yu, why are you doing this to me? I've already told you, nothing happened between me and Ningning. I didn't do anything to betray you. How long are you going to keep this up?" "Keep this up, Chen Yan, at this point, you still think I'm making a fuss over your affair? Do you think your sister's life is so insignificant? Let me tell you, I'm divorcing you because I don't want to live with a beast who only cares about love and romance, someone who doesn't even bother to save their own sister's life." "No, Lin Yu, you're talking nonsense. I didn't neglect my sister. It's all because of you. You always make trouble whenever I'm with Bai Ning, so that day I thought you were lying." "Stop the nonsense. You can use these to fool your sister. Hurry up and sign. There are only 10 minutes left until 3 o'clock. Chen Yan's expression instantly turned ferocious. "Lin Yu, without me, you're nothing. Since you want a divorce, don't even think about taking a single thing from my family." I shook the divorce agreement. "I'm leaving with nothing. Sign it." Seeing the contents of the agreement, Chen Yan flew into a rage. He quickly signed it and then threw the document in my face. I didn't feel humiliated. He was just a stray dog. "Don't forget, tomorrow at the Civil Affairs Bureau." I picked up the divorce agreement and left. It doesn't matter whether Chen Yan goes to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow or not. With my stance today, the Chen family will know that my decision to divorce is firm, and I don't think much of Chen Yan. Naturally, she wouldn't dare to use marriage to control me anymore. As for Chen Yan's fate, it has already been decided in my mind. Staying married isn't a bad outcome. My mother-in-law didn't make me wait long. She now sees Chen Yan as her only support. To ensure he cuts ties with Bai Ning, she accompanies him to work every day, rain or shine. Chen Yan worked overtime at night, and she would set up a makeshift bed in Chen Yan's office, telling everyone that Chen Yan was being pursued by some wild woman outside, so much so that there wasn't even a female mosquito within 3 meters of him. It wasn't until her mother-in-law eavesdropped on Chen Yan using the restroom that she overheard him secretly talking on the phone with Bai Ning. Her mother-in-law went mad. She led 6 middle-aged women, including Chen Yan's aunt, to storm into Bai Ning's company, stripped her naked, and threw her onto the street. Then I went to every relative's house of the Bai family, using a loudspeaker to proclaim that Bai Ning was a scumbag who destroyed other people's families and caused the death of someone's younger sister. Of course, Bai Pei wasn't spared either. He had just entered 6th grade, and a banner was hung at the school gate. Bai Pei from class 3, grade 6 is a murderer. After learning about all this done by my mother-in-law, I burst into laughter. Although compared to Chen Yang's life, these actions didn't cause substantial harm, they still brought me some satisfaction and made me look forward even more to Zhang Ji's next move. Zhang Ji seemed determined to uncover everything, leaving no enemy behind, so his actions were slower than his mother-in-law's. However, in the final 3 days of the 1-month cooling-off period, he finally began his revenge. He was even more ruthless than I had imagined. While I considered only Bai Ning and Bai Pei as enemies, he broke into the Bai family late at night and killed all 6 members of the household: Bai Ning's parents, Bai Ning's brother and sister-in-law, Bai Ning, and Bai Pei. Bai Pei was dismembered, bleeding to death while still alive. Bai Ning had her internal organs removed and her tongue cut out. The others were all killed with a single strike. That night, Chen Yan was on night duty at the hospital. After Zhang Ji killed the Bai family, he sent a message to Chen Yan using Bai Ning's phone. "Nian Go, I made some late-night snacks. It's not convenient for me to come up since your mom is here, so could you come down to get them?" Chen Yan glanced at his sleeping mother and quickly went downstairs. In the darkness, Chen Yan's face unconsciously carried an expectant smile. Ning Ning, Ning Ning, where are you? Chen Yan, you beast, you're not worthy to be Yang Yang's brother. Zhang Ji roared and swung the axe toward Chen Yan. Chen Yan instinctively raised his hands to block, and the axe directly severed both his hands. Ah! The shrill scream immediately caught the attention of the hospital security guards. The light from a flashlight in the distance illuminated Zhang Ji's face, contorted and speckled with blood. Chen Yan writhed in pain, and Zhang Ji struck again with the axe, this time directly hitting his face. The axe embedded itself into his skull, and this time he didn't even manage to let out a scream. The old woman who had quietly followed Chen Yan downstairs witnessed everything and let out a scream before fainting. I didn't get divorced. I became a widow. My mother-in-law went mad. First, she suffered the tragic death of her daughter, and then she witnessed her son being brutally murdered. Unable to bear the mental strain, she became delirious every day, wandering around looking for her daughter and son. Zhang Ji killed 7 people in one night, including 3 who were brutally tortured to death. The major case quickly became a hot topic online. Chen Yan, Bai Ning, and Chen Yang's affairs were exposed online. Even in death, Chen Yan and Bai Ning were condemned as scumbags and sluts, and anyone related to the Bai family was affected, distancing themselves from them. Few people attended the Bai family's funeral. Netizens overwhelmingly supported Zhang Ji, but the law knows no mercy, and Zhang Ji's best outcome would be life imprisonment, but before the trial, he took his own life in the detention center. Zhang's parents buried Zhang Ji and Chen Yang together, sold the house, and left the city of sorrow. I inherited Chen Yan's estate, set aside a portion for Aunt Chen, and entrusted her with taking care of my mother-in-law. Aunt Chen had been manipulated by the Chen family her entire life, and she acknowledged that her mother-in-law was part of the Chen family, so even if she worked herself to death, she would never abandon her mother-in-law. The remaining inheritance was all donated to a charity that supports single mothers, as a way to pray for my unborn child. Then I left this city and started a new life. In my past life, it felt like I was trapped in a nightmare. In this life, I have awakened from that nightmare, and a smooth, open road lies ahead of me. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Lin Xiaoman, you're just a cripple. How dare you compare yourself to Yuan Yuan? His cold sneer still echoed in my ears just before the car crash. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn back in my senior year of high school, on that rainy day when delivering his love letter destroyed my entire life. In this life, I tore up the love letter he wrote to the school beauty right in front of everyone. Lu Mingchuan, we're through, I'm dead. That was the first conscious thought after regaining awareness. In my ears was the piercing wail of an ambulance siren. Before my eyes was the twisted and deformed roof of the car, and there was the warm liquid flowing down from my forehead, blurring my vision. Lin Xiaoman, you really are a lingering ghost, came the voice of Lu Mingchuan from the driver's seat, carrying the familiar disgust. Even going to get a divorce, you have to cause me trouble. I wanted to retort but couldn't make a sound. My body felt as if it were pinned down by a 1,000-pound weight, unable to move. The sound of rain, the honking of horns, and the startled cries of pedestrians mixed together, gradually fading away. If it weren't for you meddling and delivering that love letter back then, causing that car accident, why would I have been forced to marry a cripple like you? Do you have any idea how much I've been mocked by my friends all these years? His voice grew fainter and fainter. Now it's perfect, you're dead, and I can finally be with Yuan Yuan openly. To tell you the truth, Yuan Yuan and I have already registered our marriage abroad. Darkness swallowed her consciousness. I thought this was the end, but when I opened my eyes again, sunlight was spilling through the classroom window onto the desk, casting dappled shadows. I blinked, my gaze focusing on the open math exam paper before me, a mock test for the 12th grade. Xiaoman, do me a favor. A pink letter folded into the shape of a heart was pushed toward me, accompanied by a familiar voice. You absolutely have to give this to Su Yuan today. I looked up sharply and saw a face I thought I never wanted to lay eyes on again in this life. Lu Mingchuan at 18, my childhood friend, the person who ruined my life in my previous existence. He was looking at me with that ingratiating smile I couldn't refuse, just like all the times over the past 10-odd years when he'd asked me for help. The words stuck in my throat, my fingers trembling uncontrollably. What's wrong? He tilted his head, his face under the sunlight brimming with youthful vitality. It's just delivering a love letter. It's not the first time. I'll treat you to a drink tomorrow. Memories flooded in like a tidal wave. This love letter, this very day, in my past life, I helped him deliver the love letter, only to encounter a car accident on the way back, resulting in the amputation of my right leg. I missed the college entrance exam and lost the chance to become a doctor. Out of guilt, the Lu family forced Lu Mingchuan to marry me, but it ended up ruining both of our lives. Xiaoman, what are you daydreaming about? Lu Mingchuan waved his hand in front of my eyes. School's almost over, you should go soon. On the podium, the math teacher was explaining the final problem. The classroom was filled with the stuffy heat of early summer and the tense atmosphere before the college entrance exam. Looking around, every face felt both familiar and strange. This was my senior year classroom. I had actually returned 10 years in time. No, my voice sounded eerily calm. Deliver it yourself. Lu Mingchuan froze, clearly not expecting my refusal. Stop joking around. Our homeroom teacher is so strict. I'd be finished if I got caught. You're a top student. The teachers all like you. Even if you're caught, nothing will happen. I picked up the love letter and, under his hopeful gaze, tore it in half, then into quarters, before crumpling it into a ball and tossing it into the trash bin at the back of the classroom. Lin Xiaoman, have you lost your mind, Lu? Mingxuan's face changed drastically, his voice drawing the attention of surrounding classmates. I'm perfectly clear-headed, staring straight into his eyes. The pent-up anger and grievances from my past life surged in my chest. I remembered how he repeatedly mocked me in front of his friends for being disabled, how time and again he abandoned me to go abroad in search of his first love, even getting married overseas, and how he constantly insulted my parents and relatives. Lu Mingchuan, from today onward, it's over between us. Handle your own mess. The class bell rang at just the right moment. I quickly packed my bag, ignoring his stunned expression, and rushed out of the classroom without looking back. The sun felt warm and real on my face, and I took a deep breath, feeling the strong, healthy steps of my legs. This wasn't a dream. I had truly been reborn, returned to the day that would change my fate. This time, I would not repeat the mistakes of the past. The moment I pushed open the door to my home, my eyes instantly filled with tears. Xiaoman's back. Mom peeked her head out from the kitchen, her face still free of the wrinkles that would later form from worrying over me. Dinner's almost ready. Go wash your hands first. I stood rooted in place, greedily taking in this familiar yet strange home. The calendar hanging on the living room wall showed March 12, 2015. Mom's favorite pale blue curtain swayed gently in the breeze, and a plate of fresh fruit sat on the dining table. Every detail felt so vividly alive. In my previous life, after my amputation, my parents had nearly bankrupted themselves trying to pay for my medical treatments. Mom's hair turned white overnight, and Dad's back grew hunched. But now, they stood before me, healthy and whole, as if heaven had granted me a second chance. What's wrong? Just standing there spacing out. Mom wiped her hands and walked over, reaching out to touch my forehead. Are you feeling unwell? I held her tightly, burying my face into her shoulder and inhaling the familiar scent, a faint mix of cooking fumes and laundry detergent. Nothing, just missed you, silly child. You just left this morning and you miss me already. Mom patted my back, smiling. Go wash your hands. I made sweet and sour spare ribs, your favorite. During dinner, I devoured every dish Mom made as if starved, surprising even Dad with my appetite. After dinner, I took the initiative to clear the dishes, then announced under my parents' astonished gazes, starting today, I'm going to focus all my energy on preparing for the college entrance exam. I might not have as much time for household chores anymore. Did you finally have an epiphany? Dad chuckled, adjusting his glasses. All right then, your mom and I will handle the chores. You just concentrate on studying. Returning to my room, I locked the door, threw myself onto the bed, and buried my face in the pillow, letting out a few silent screams before finally calming down. I really had been reborn. Back to the most critical month before the college entrance exam. I rolled over and sat up, pulling all my textbooks and notes from my backpack and spreading them across the entire desk. Since heaven has given me a chance to start over, I must seize this opportunity to get into the capital medical university of my dreams and become a doctor. When I opened my math notes, I froze. The formulas and problem-solving methods that I used to know like the back of my hand now seemed strangely unfamiliar. I then flipped through my physics and chemistry textbooks, and the situation was even worse. Years of difficult married life and the self-doubt brought on by disability had caused the passage of time to erase most of my high school knowledge from my memory. No way. Cold sweat broke out on my forehead, and my fingers trembled slightly. Rebirth had given me a healthy body and a second chance, but it hadn't restored my former knowledge. There are less than 3 months left until the college entrance examination. I took a deep breath, took out a brand new notebook, and started making a review plan. In my previous life, I missed the college entrance examination because of a car accident, and later I could only attend an ordinary university through self-study exams, majoring in a field I didn't even like. This time, I must get into the best medical school with the most outstanding grades. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I finally completed a detailed review schedule, broken down to every hour of every day. My eyelids felt as heavy as lead, but I forced myself to keep them open and flipped open the math textbook, starting my review from the basic trigonometric functions. Xiaoman, why aren't you asleep yet? Mom gently knocked on my door. Going to bed now, I responded, yet I still insisted on finishing the problem in front of me before turning off the desk lamp. Lying in bed, I recalled what happened at school today. Lu Mingchuan's stunned expression surfaced before my eyes, and a tinge of vengeful satisfaction stirred in my heart. In my past life, I always gave him everything he wanted, even ruining my own life just to deliver his love letters for him. Yet, after marriage, he vented all his resentment on me. This time, I won't have anything to do with you anymore, I whispered into the darkness before drifting into a deep sleep. Early the next morning, I arrived at the classroom half an hour earlier than usual. The morning sunlight streamed through the window, falling on the empty desks. I took out my English vocabulary notebook and began memorizing words. As my classmates trickled in, they all looked surprised to see me at school so early. When Lu Mingchuan entered, I didn't even look up, engrossed in solving physics problems. Xiaoman, he stood in front of my desk, his voice tinged with clear displeasure. Don't you plan to explain what happened yesterday? I kept writing formulas, not even sparing him a glance. There's nothing to explain. What's wrong with you? He pressed down on my notebook. Haven't we always been like this? You help me deliver things, and I treat you to ice cream. I looked up at him. This face, which once made my heart race, now filled me only with disgust. That was before. Now I need to focus on the college entrance exams. I don't have time to play these pointless games with you. The Gaokao, he scoffed. With your grades, you could get into a top-tier university even if you just winged it. What's there to be nervous about? I yanked my notebook back forcefully. Mind your own business. Lu Mingchuan's expression darkened. He was about to say something when our homeroom teacher, Mr. Li, walked into the classroom. He had no choice but to sulkily return to his seat. Throughout the morning classes, I could feel Lu Mingchuan glancing back at me repeatedly, but I never once met his gaze. During break, I seized every moment to review, even holding off going to the bathroom. Afraid of wasting a single second, the bell for dismissal rang, and I quickly packed my bag to leave. Lu Mingchuan rushed over in one swift motion and blocked my path. Let's go together. No need, I'm heading to the library. I tried to sidestep around him. He grabbed my wrist. What's wrong with you? Why are you suddenly so cold to me? Aren't we best friends? I brushed off his hand, raising my voice a few notches. I told you, I need to study. Please don't disturb me. The classmates who hadn't left the classroom yet turned to look, and whispers began to ripple through the air. Lu Mingchuan's face flushed crimson, a flicker of anger flashing in his eyes. Lin Xiaoman, have you lost your mind? Think whatever you want. I slung my backpack over my shoulder and strode out of the classroom, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. In my past life, I had always been cautious around him, afraid of upsetting him, but now, I could finally say, no, without hesitation. The library was so quiet you could hear the rustle of pages. I found a spot in a corner, laid out my books, and started reviewing, but before long, a figure sat down across from me. Thinking it was Lu Mingchuan coming to bother me again, I looked up impatiently. Chen Mo, I stared in surprise at the boy before me. He was our class's academic committee member, a straight-A student whose ranking never fell below the top 3 in our grade, usually quiet and reserved. He hardly interacted with anyone. Pushing up his black-framed glasses, he expressionlessly handed me a notebook. Ms. Li asked me to give this to you. I looked at him doubtfully, taking the notebook. As I opened it, I found neatly detailed biology notes covering all key points for the college entrance exam, and even extended knowledge. This, my notes, Chen Mo said briefly. Teacher Li said you wanted to apply for medical school. I stared at him in shock. How did Teacher Li know? I had only filled out that career aspiration on my planning form this morning. Chen Mo shrugged his shoulders and was already lowering his head to work on his own exercises, clearly not intending to continue the topic. I carefully flipped through the notebook. Its contents were more systematic and easier to understand than the textbook, with key points and difficult sections highlighted in different colors. Thank you, and please, thank Teacher Li for me. Chen Mo nodded, saying nothing more. We continued studying quietly on our own until the bell signaling the library's closing time rang out. Over the next few days, Lu Mingchuan went out of his way to get my attention, placing my favorite milk tea on my desk, though I'd long since grown tired of the flavor, deliberately laughing and chatting loudly with classmates along the path I always took after school, even asking mutual friends to find out why I'd suddenly changed my mind. I ignored it all, throwing myself wholeheartedly into studying. During the day, I paid close attention in every class, chased after teachers during breaks to ask questions, and headed straight to the library after school. When I got home at night, I'd review until past midnight, pinching my thigh whenever I felt sleepy. In Friday's biology class, the teacher announced there would be a quiz the following week. After class, I saw Chinemo organizing his notes and mustered the courage to walk over. Chinemo, could I take a look at your biology notes, just the part for next week's test? My voice grew softer as I spoke. In my past life, I never relied on others for studying, but this situation was special. He glanced up at me, took a folder from his bag, and handed it to me. The latest ones are here. Thank you, I'll definitely return it to you on Monday. I received it as if it were a priceless treasure. No rush. He paused. Your study method has some issues. I was stunned. What issues? You're too anxious. Chenmo's voice was calm. The college entrance exam isn't something that can be mastered overnight. Working so late like this will actually lower your efficiency. My face suddenly grew hot. How could he know I stayed up late? Could my dark circles really be that obvious? I just have a lot of catch-up to do, I whispered softly. Chenmo looked at me for a moment, then suddenly said, Saturday at 8 in the morning, 3rd floor of the city library. I've compiled key points for each subject. I looked up in surprise, unable to believe my ears. Was Chenmo asking me to study together? Your choice. He had already turned and walked away, leaving me standing there, clutching that biology notebook tightly in my hand, my heart inexplicably racing. The heavens were truly on my side. After school, just as expected, Lu Mingchuan was waiting for me again at the school gate. This time, I pretended not to see him and walked straight toward the bus stop. Lin Xiaoman. He caught up and stopped me. What on earth is wrong with you? You've seemed like a completely different person this past week. I've said it many times. I need to study. I tried to walk around him. Enough with the act. He raised his voice. Have you fallen for someone else? Is it Chenmo? You've been sticking around him a lot these past few days. I stopped in my tracks and turned to face him squarely. Lu Mingchuan, we're not dating, and I have no obligation to explain my actions to you. It's my freedom to spend time with whomever I choose. His expression looked as if he'd been slapped. We grew up together, and this is how you treat me. It's precisely because I've known you for so long that I know exactly the kind of person you are, I said calmly. Please don't disturb my studies anymore. With that, I turned and boarded the bus that had just arrived at the stop, leaving Lu Mingchuan standing there in stunned silence. Through the bus window, I watched his expression shift from shock to anger, and finally into a bewildered look I had never seen on his face before. In my past life, I would have been anxious over any fluctuation in his emotions, but now, all I felt was a sense of relief. As the bus pulled away from the station, I took a deep breath, opened Chenmo's notebook, and soon found myself immersed in the vast ocean of knowledge. This time, I won't give up my future for anyone. At 7:40 on Saturday morning, I stood in front of the city library, nervously twisting the strap of my backpack. I was 20 minutes early for our agreed-upon time, but last night I hardly slept at all. My mind was full of formulas and theorems. When the large clock in front of the library showed 7:50, I spotted a familiar figure stepping off the bus. Chenmo was wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans. Under the sunlight, his skin looked especially pale, and his eyes behind black-framed glasses widened slightly when he saw me. Morning. He walked up to me and greeted me briefly. Morning. Good morning. For some reason, I stuttered a bit. I just happened to be early passing by. Chenmo nodded, not calling out my lie. His home and mine were in completely opposite directions. The air conditioning in the library was turned up high. I followed Chenmo up to the 3rd floor and took a seat by the window in a corner. He took out a thick stack of neatly bound papers from his backpack and pushed them toward me. This is the key points and common question types I've compiled for each subject in the college entrance exam. His voice was very low, as if afraid of disturbing the other readers. You can look through it first, and ask me if you have any questions. I turned to the first page, which was densely yet neatly filled with condensed summaries of all the key knowledge points in mathematics. Important formulas were marked in red, common pitfalls highlighted in yellow fluorescent pen, with small annotations written in pencil beside them. This was even better than any review material available on the market. This is so detailed. I looked up, genuinely impressed. How long did it take you to compile all of this? Chenmo lowered his head to flip through his book. The tips of his ears tinged slightly red. Not for long. For the next 3 hours, we immersed ourselves in our respective studies. Occasionally, when I came across something I didn't understand, I would lightly tap my finger on that point of knowledge, and Chenmo would put down his pen. in a voice so soft only the two of us could hear. He would explain it in detail until I fully understood. At noon, my stomach betrayed me with a grumble. Chen-mo glanced up at me, then reached into his backpack and pulled out 2 rice balls and a bottle of mineral water. Eat, he said, pushing one of the rice balls toward me. They're from the cafeteria. The taste is average, but they'll fill you up. I froze. You prepared this in advance? Yeah. Chen-mo had already unwrapped the packaging and taken a bite. I guessed you'd be hungry. Holding the warm rice ball in my hand, a wave of warmth surged in my heart. In my past life, I had hardly any impression of Chen-mo, only knowing he was a top student and a loner. Now it seemed that beneath that cold exterior hid an unexpected thoughtfulness. Thank you, I said softly, taking a bite of the rice ball. The aroma of seaweed spread in my mouth. It's really delicious. A faint upward curve touched the corner of Chen-mo's lips. It might not quite qualify as a smile, but it was enough to brighten his entire face. We continued our studies in the afternoon, and I was startled to realize an entire day had passed when the library's closing music began to play. My notebook was filled with newly learned problem-solving techniques and knowledge points. My head felt slightly swollen from absorbing so much information, yet my heart was brimming with fullness. Next Saturday, will you come again? Chen-mo suddenly asked as we were packing our school bags. I looked up and met his eyes, clear and calm behind the lenses, without a hint of jest. Sure, I replied without hesitation. 8 o'clock, the usual spot. He slung his backpack over his shoulder. Remember to bring your water bottle. The library has hot water. I nodded, watching his receding figure, a smile unconsciously curling at the corners of my lips. The first weekend after my rebirth, and I had actually become study partners with Chen-mo. On Monday at school, I listened to the lectures with even greater focus than usual. With Chen-mo's notes and explanations, concepts that had once been vague became clear. Between classes, instead of chatting with classmates, I seized every moment to review the previous lesson or preview the next one. Wednesday afternoon's PE class was free activity time. While most students played basketball or sat chatting in the shade, I slipped quietly back to the classroom, pulled out my physics workbook, and began grinding through problems. I knew you'd be here. A voice came from the doorway. I looked up and saw class monitor Li Shaoqing leaning against the doorframe, twirling a set of keys in her hand. The sports committee sent me to get the spare whistle. She walked in, glancing curiously at my exercise book. Working this hard, that doesn't seem like you. I smiled without answering. In my previous life, Li Shaoqing and I hadn't been particularly close. She was the cheerful, outgoing type with many friends, while I had only ever orbited around Lu Mingchuan. You know, Lu Mingchuan has been asking about you these past few days. Li Shaoqing pulled the whistle from the lectern drawer and said, as if casually, he really doesn't seem to understand why you've suddenly been ignoring him. I set down my pen and sighed. I just want to focus on studying, that's all. Come on. Li Shaoqing suddenly leaned in closer, lowering her voice. The whole class can tell there's something going on between you and Chen-mo. Someone saw you two studying together in the library last Saturday. It's headline news in our class. My face flushed instantly. We were just studying together, that's all. Chen-mo never studies with anyone, Li Shaoqing said meaningfully. Last year, Lu Ting, who ranked second in the grade, tried asking him for help, and he just handed her a reference book and brushed her off. I didn't know how to respond, so I just kept my head down and continued working on the problems. Li Shaoqing didn't press further. She whistled and left the classroom. After school, just as I stepped out of the school gate, I heard someone calling my name from behind. Turning around, I saw Lu Mingchuan running toward me, his basketball jersey soaked with sweat from what was clearly a recent game. Xiao man, wait up, he panted, blocking my path. This Saturday, our class is playing against Class 7 in a basketball match. You'll come watch, right? I frowned. I told you I need to study. Just 1 hour. Lu Mingchuan clasped his hands together, adopting a pleading stance. You know how important this match is. Those kids from Class 7 have always looked down on us, and this time, Lu Mingchuan, I cut him off. I really don't have the time. His expression instantly fell. Ever since Chen-mo showed up, you've become a completely different person. What's so great about him? Always walking around with that stern face, not saying a word, like some kind of bookworm. Don't you dare talk about him like that. My voice suddenly rose, drawing glances from passing classmates. Chen-mo is 100 times better than you. At least he knows how to work hard for his own future instead of spending all day thinking about how to please Su Yuan. Lu Mingchuan's face instantly turned pale. How do you know Su Yuan? I then realized I had let slip. In my previous life, I only knew about Su Yuan because I helped him deliver love letters. In this life, I shouldn't have known her at all. I heard it from classmates. I quickly covered up. Anyway, I won't be going on Saturday. Find someone else to cheer you on. After saying that, I turned and walked away, my heart pounding fiercely in my chest. Behind me, Lu Mingchuan called my name a few times, but I didn't look back. On Saturday morning, Chen Mo and I met at the library to study as planned. During the noon break, I couldn't help but glance at my phone and noticed that the class group chat had been flooded with photos from the basketball match. Lu Mingchuan looked dashing on the court, and a photo of Su Yuan cheering enthusiastically with a few other girls on the sidelines was particularly eye-catching. Distracted, Chen Mo suddenly said. I quickly locked my phone screen. Sorry. He slid over a piece of scratch paper with a complex physics problem written on it. Try this one. I recognized this as the final challenging problem from last year's college entrance exam, a notoriously difficult one. Taking a deep breath, I focused all my attention on solving it. When I finally found the breakthrough, I let out a quiet cheer of excitement and looked up to meet Chen Mo's approving gaze. That sense of accomplishment was even more exhilarating than any cheers from a basketball game. Around 4 in the afternoon, my phone suddenly vibrated. It was a text from Li Shaoqing. Lu Mingchuan got injured during the game. He's at the school clinic and keeps asking to see you. I stared at that message for a long time, memories from my past life flooding back like a tidal wave. Every time Lu Mingchuan got injured or fell sick, I was always the first person by his side. I remember in our second year of high school when he had a high fever, I skipped class to take care of him at his house all day, even copying all his homework for him. Yet after we were married, when I was in excruciating pain from leg cramps, he hung up on me because he was busy shopping with Su Yuan. Something wrong? Chen Mo noticed my unusual behavior. I showed him the text message and said with a wry smile. The old me would have rushed over immediately. He thought for a moment, then suddenly asked, and now, do you still want to go? No. I replied without hesitation. He has so many friends, one less won't make a difference. Besides, I gestured toward the stack of thick review materials on the table. We have more important things to do. Chen Mo's lips curved slightly as he handed me a biology notebook. Let's continue. That evening back home, the class group chat was still buzzing about the day's competition. From the fragments of conversation among my classmates, I pieced together what had happened. Lu Mingchuan had sprained his ankle during the match, and Su Yuan had reluctantly helped him to the infirmary. But she quickly made an excuse and left him there alone. I heard he was in low spirits, constantly asking why no one had stayed with him. I closed the group chat without commenting. In my past life, my heart would have ached for him, and I would have immediately called to comfort him, but now, all I felt was a sense of poetic justice. Let him have a taste of what it feels like to be uncared for. On Monday at school, Lu Mingchuan's ankle was still wrapped in bandages. I deliberately avoided his gaze and walked straight to my seat. During the break, I noticed he tried to speak to me several times, but I pretended not to see and dodged him each time. At noon in the cafeteria, I was buried in my meal when a tray suddenly landed across from me. Looking up, I saw Chen Mo sitting down expressionlessly, and I was so startled I nearly choked. Is this seat taken? He asked, even though there were plenty of empty seats around. And no one. I quickly shook my head. We ate our meals quietly, neither of us speaking, but the silence wasn't awkward. Occasionally, our gazes would meet, and he would give a slight nod before continuing to eat. This simple, natural way of being together gave me an inexplicable sense of ease. Well, when did our ice-cold study prodigy start eating with someone? A teasing voice called from behind. I turned and saw Su Yuan standing there with two of her close friends, wearing smiles I couldn't quite read. Su Yuan was indeed beautiful, with big eyes, a delicate face, and silky black hair. She was the dream girl for many guys at school. None of your business, I said coldly, startling even myself with such a direct rebuff. In my past life, I had always felt inferior before Su Yuan, never daring to even speak up. Su Yuan clearly hadn't expected me to respond like this either. She froze for a moment, then forced a smile and said, Lin Xiaoman, I heard you've been working really hard lately. Are you trying to surpass our Chen Mo, your house? I raised an eyebrow, noticing Chen Mo's brow had also furrowed. Oh, I was just saying it casually. Su Yuan swept her hair aside. By the way, Lu Mingchuan asked me to pass on a message to you. He has something to say to you, so wait for him behind the gym after school. I'm busy. I flat out refused. Su Yuan pouted. Suit yourself. but he's in a pretty bad state right now, with his foot injured and no one to look after him. He doesn't even have anyone to help him copy his homework. Well, why don't you go take care of him? I set down my chopsticks, Su Yuan snorted dismissively. I don't have time for him either. I wouldn't even bother speaking up for him if he weren't so pitiful. With that, she turned and left, her friends in tow. I turned to look at Chen Mo and found him staring at me, his gaze complex. What's wrong? I asked, feeling a bit uneasy. Nothing. He adjusted his glasses. I just realized you're different from what I've heard. What have you heard about me? I asked curiously. Chen Mo thought for a moment, quiet, introverted, always following behind Lu Mingchuan, like his little tail. This description made my heart ache. In my previous life, I truly was like that, treating Lu Mingchuan as the center of my world, completely losing myself. People always change, I said softly. Chen Mo nodded and suddenly took out a piece of paper from his school bag, handing it to me. The scope for next week's mock exam. I've highlighted the key points. I took that piece of paper, feeling a surge of warmth in my heart. After being reborn, I seemed to have found someone who truly respected me, not those who saw me as a mere convenience, but someone willing to walk side by side with me. After school, I intentionally took a longer route to avoid the gymnasium, only to be intercepted by a limping Lu Mingchuan right at the school gate. Why didn't you come? He demanded, his eyes bloodshot. I waited for you for an hour. I said I'm busy. I tried to step around him. He grabbed my wrist. Is it because of Chen Mo? You like him, don't you? Let go. I struggled free forcefully. Who I like is none of your business. How is it none of my business? Lu Mingchuan's voice trembled in a way I'd never heard before. We grew up together. I thought we, what did you think? I sneered. Did you think I'd follow you forever, available whenever you called, write your homework for you, deliver your love letters, do anything for you? He froze, his hand unconsciously loosening its grip. That's not what I meant, Lu Mingchuan. I took a deep breath. From now on, please take responsibility for your own life. I won't waste another minute on you. With that, I turned and walked away, leaving him standing alone at the school gate. The setting sun stretched his shadow long and lonely, but I didn't look back. In the week leading up to the third mock exam, my nerves were stretched as taut as a fully drawn bowstring. I slept only 4 hours a day, and aside from eating and attending school, the rest of my time was entirely devoted to studying. I could finish half a set of multiple-choice questions during the 10-minute class break, hid in a corner of the library during lunchtime to memorize English essay samples, and even listen to my own recordings of key knowledge points while walking. On Wednesday night, I was wrestling with a challenging physics problem at my desk when the letters and numbers in front of me suddenly began to warp and blur. I blinked, and my vision refocused, but within less than a minute, everything grew fuzzy again. A throbbing ache pulsed at my temples, as if someone were drumming inside my head. Xiao Man, have some milk, Mom said as she pushed the door open, placing a cup of warm milk beside me and looking at me with concern. You look pale. Thanks, Mom, I'm fine. I forced a smile, took the milk, and drank a sip. The warm liquid slid down my throat, offering a temporary relief from the discomfort. Mom reached out and touched my forehead. You've been studying all day. Take a break. I can't. I shook my head. The third mock exam is next week. I have to. My words trailed off. The milk cup in front of me suddenly appeared double, and my hands began to tremble uncontrollably. The cup slipped from my fingers, smashing to the ground with a sharp crack, sending milk splattering everywhere. Xiao Man, Mom cried out in alarm, quickly crouching down to check if I was hurt. I wanted to say I was fine, but as soon as I opened my mouth, tears unexpectedly welled up in my eyes. Then came the second drop, the third. Soon, I burst into uncontrollable sobs like a lost child, releasing all the pent-up stress and fear. I can't remember, so many formulas, so much knowledge, I sobbed, my vision blurred by tears. I'm afraid of failing the exam, afraid of repeating the past. Mom held me in her arms, gently patting my back. Silly child, it's just one exam, as long as you do your best. That's enough, don't put so much pressure on yourself. I leaned on my mother's shoulder and cried for a long time until the tears ran dry, leaving only sporadic hiccups. Mom cleaned up the spilled milk on the floor and insisted that I take a warm shower and go to bed early. Lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling as my emotions gradually settled. Suddenly, my phone vibrated. It was a text from Chen Mo. Don't come too early tomorrow morning, the library doesn't open until 8. I stared at this seemingly ordinary message for a long time, when it suddenly dawned on me. He must have sensed I wasn't in a good state and was trying to let me sleep a little longer this way. I replied with a single word, okay, then buried my face in the pillow, the corners of my mouth curling upward unconsciously. The next day, I slept 2 hours more than usual and felt noticeably refreshed. By the time I arrived in the classroom, Chinemo was already sitting at his desk, reading. I set down my backpack, hesitated for a moment, then walked over to his table. Thank you, I whispered softly. He glanced up at me, nodded, and then pulled a folded piece of paper from a drawer, handing it to me. Take a look at this. When I unfolded it, I saw multiple solutions to a math problem, each written in excruciating detail, with annotations alongside explaining which method to use in which scenario. If you get nervous during the exam, stick with the method you know best. Don't experiment with new tricks. He said this without looking at me, his voice calm and steady, but it made my nose sting with emotion. I tightly clutched that piece of paper. I will. On the day of the third mock exam, the weather was unusually stifling. Sitting in the exam hall, my palms were sweating, forcing me to constantly wipe them with a tissue. The moment the test papers were handed out, I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. The first subject was Chinese, my strong suit. The essay topic was choice. I almost wrote that piece with the memories and insights from my past life. My pen tip rustling across the paper as emotions poured out. I tackled the math, English, and science comprehension sections question by question, skipping over the ones that gave me trouble and returning to think about them only after finishing all the ones I could do. The method Chinmo taught me worked really well. Don't aim for perfection, just strive for stable performance. When the bell rang for the final subject, I put down my pen and let out a long sigh of relief. No matter the outcome, I had already given it my all. 3 days later, the results were announced. I stood before the grade-wide ranking list, unable to believe my eyes. Lin Xiaoman, total score 689, third in the grade. My name was clearly listed right after Chenemo and Yang Yi, having moved up more than 20 places since the last exam. Oh my god, Lin Xiaoman, you're amazing. Li Xiaoqing patted my shoulder from behind. How did you suddenly do so well? Before I could answer, a group of classmates had already gathered around, asking all at once how I had studied and if I had any secrets. I stood there, overwhelmed, and my gaze inadvertently met Chenmo's, who was standing at the edge of the crowd. He gave me a slight nod, a faint, almost invisible curve at the corner of his mouth. Just did a few more practice questions, I mumbled in response to my classmates' inquiries, when suddenly I spotted Lu Mingchuan standing not far away, his face dark as he stared in this direction. His ranking had dropped to over 250th place in the grade, which, given the intense competition of the college entrance exams, meant he might not even make it into a first-tier university. After the crowd gradually dispersed, Lu Mingchuan blocked my path. Xiaoman, congratulations. He forced out a smile. I always knew you were clever. Thank you, I responded briefly, ready to leave. Wait, he grasped my wrist. I have something to ask you for help with. I pulled my hand back. What is it? My grades. You've seen them. He looked down at the ground, his foot anxiously scuffing against the floor. Could you help me with some tutoring? Just like before, in my past life, I did indeed often tutor him, even sacrificing my own study time to organize notes and explain his mistakes. And how did he repay me? Every time we argued after marriage, he would mock me. You think you're so great. If it weren't for my parents forcing me, would I have married a nerd like you? Sorry, I don't have time, I said, turning to leave. Just 1 week, no, even 3 days would do. He hurriedly followed me. For the sake of having grown up together since we were kids, Lu Mingchuan, I stopped walking and looked straight into his eyes. Do you know why I was able to rank third? Because I've been studying until dawn every day for this entire month, giving up all entertainment and social activities, even feeling that talking to you was a waste of time. Do you think I would ruin my own efforts just to help you? His face flushed bright red in an instant. You. How could you become so selfish? This isn't selfishness, it's self-respect, I said calmly. You don't study yourself, so what right do you have to ask others to sacrifice for you? With that, I walked away without looking back. My heart was pounding violently in my chest, but not from nervousness or fear. It was a feeling of relief. Finally, I had said the words I couldn't bring myself to say in my past life. After school, as I was packing my backpack to head to the library, an unexpected figure appeared at the classroom door. Su Yuan, Lin Xiaoman, can we talk for a bit? She asked, her voice surprisingly friendly. completely different from the last time we met in the cafeteria. I watched her warily. What is it? She walked in and took a seat in the row in front of me. First, I want to apologize for my attitude last time in the cafeteria. I was in a bad mood. I nodded without saying anything, waiting for her to continue. Secondly, Su-yuan bit her lower lip. I wanted to ask, how you been studying? My grades have always been average, but seeing how quickly you improved, I'm really impressed. I looked at her in surprise. In my previous life, the Su-yuan I remembered was a proud campus belle who rarely spoke to others aside from Lu Mingchuan and his group of admirers, let alone asked for study advice. Just do more practice problems and review my mistakes, I replied cautiously. Could you elaborate a bit more? Su-yuan pulled out a small notebook, looking genuinely attentive to record details, for example, the schedule, which reference books to use. Seeing the sincerity in her eyes, I let down my guard and briefly shared some study methods. During our conversation, I noticed that Su-yuan was actually quite intelligent. She grasped concepts quickly with just a hint. It seemed she simply hadn't put her mind to studying before. By the way, Su-yuan suddenly asked as we neared the end of our chat, are you and Chen-mo close? My heart tightened a little. It's fine, we just studied together a few times. He's my cousin, Su-yuan said with a smile, though we have different surnames. His dad and my mom are siblings. I widened my eyes. What? He didn't tell you? Su-yuan also looked surprised. I thought you two were close. We're just study partners. I tried to keep my voice steady, but inside, a storm was raging. Chen-mo and Su-yuan are cousins. Did Chen-mo know about Lu Mingchuan and Su-yuan in our past life? Did he know what happened to me? Chen-mo is actually a really good person. He's just not great at expressing himself. Su-yuan continued. He actually mentioned you to me a few days ago, saying you're special. My heart skipped a beat. What did he say about me? That you study really hard, and your way of thinking is unique. Su-yuan blinked. Hearing that kind of praise from him is rare. He almost never talks about anyone. I didn't know how to respond, so I pretended to organize my school bag to hide the warmth on my face. By the way, Su-yuan stood up, ready to leave. Lu Mingchuan has been pestering me lately, saying something about making me take responsibility for him. It's so annoying. Do you know what's going on? My hands paused for a moment. Take responsibility. It's about last time when he injured his foot, and I reluctantly helped him to the infirmary. Now he's latched onto me. Su-yuan rolled her eyes. He keeps saying that since I took care of him, I should keep doing it. It's just absurd. Suddenly, I recalled that in my past life, Lu Mingchuan and Su-yuan had registered their marriage abroad. I had always thought it was a mutual attraction, but judging by Su-yuan's tone now, that might not have been the case. You don't like him? I asked tentatively. Lu Mingchuan. Su-yuan scoffed. Aside from being decent-looking, what else does he have going for him? His grades are average, his athletic skills are nothing special, and he always thinks so highly of himself. I plan to study abroad in the future. How could I ever have anything to do with someone like him? Her words felt like a heavy blow to my heart. If Su-yuan didn't like Lu Mingchuan at all, then why did they get married abroad in the previous life? Did Lu Mingchuan force her, or did he deceive her? Lin Xiaoman, are you alright? Su-yuan looked at me with confusion. I'm fine. I forced a smile. I'm just a bit tired. Then you should rest early, Su-yuan said sincerely. Thank you for sharing the study methods. They were really helpful. Watching her retreating figure, my heart was a tumultuous mix of emotions. In my past life, I regarded Su-yuan as a rival in love and harbored hatred for her for many years, but now, it seems she might also have been one of Lu Mingchuan's victims. This realization caused most of my animosity toward Su-yuan to dissipate. Over the weekend, Chen-mo and I, as usual, studied together in the library. Several times, I wanted to ask him about Su-yuan, but I didn't know how to bring it up. Finally, during the afternoon break, I couldn't hold back any longer. Chen-mo, Su-yuan mentioned that you two are cousins. His hand paused on the page, and he looked up at me. Why didn't you tell me? I never found the right moment to bring it up. He adjusted his glasses. And does it really matter? I thought it over. It really didn't matter that much. It just caught me off guard. But another question lingered in my mind, refusing to fade away. So, did you know Lu Mingchuan likes Su-yuan? Chen-mo's expression turned somewhat odd. Yes, a lot of people at school know that. Su-yuan said she doesn't like Lu Mingchuan. She really doesn't. Chen-mo closed his book. She likes smart, ambitious people. Lu Mingchuan doesn't meet her standards. Thank you, Chen-mo. I suddenly said with genuine gratitude. What are you thanking me for? For everything, I said with a smile, the notes, the study methods. Chen Mo's ears flushed slightly red. He lowered his head and opened his book. Let's get back to studying. There's only a month left until the college entrance exams. I nodded, diving back into the sea of exam questions, yet my heart felt calmer and more resolute than ever before. The second week after the release of our third mock exam results, early Monday morning, a subtle atmosphere permeated the classroom. During the break, I noticed several classmates frequently glancing at Chen Mo and me, then huddling together to whisper among themselves. Li Xiaoqing, seizing a moment when Chen Mo was away, mysteriously leaned over to my desk. Xiaoman, you two be careful, she whispered, lowering her voice. Lu Mingchuan went to find Teacher Li after school yesterday, saying you and Chen Mo were in an early relationship and it's affecting the class atmosphere. My pen nearly fell from my hand. What? He made it sound so convincing, saying things like you two go to the library together every day and even meet alone on weekends. Li Xiaoqing curled her lips in disdain. Everyone knows he's just jealous because you did well on the exam and you're close to Chen Mo. I clenched my fist, my nails digging deep into my palm. Lu Mingchuan in my past life was just like this. As soon as he noticed any sign of me breaking free from his control, he would do everything he could to ruin things, but I never expected he would resort to such childish tactics. Thanks for the reminder, I forced a smile at Li Xiaoqing. But we really were just studying together. Of course I know, Li Xiaoqing patted me on the shoulder, but Mr. Li might talk to you both, so better be mentally prepared. The class bell rang, and Mr. Li walked into the classroom carrying a stack of test papers. I glanced over at Lu Mingchuan. He sat bolt upright, a hint of a smug smile playing on his lips, and kept turning back to look at me, his eyes filled with challenge. Before I hand out the papers, I have a few things to say. Mr. Li put down the test papers, his gaze sweeping across the classroom before finally settling on Lu Mingchuan. Recently, some students have reported to me that there are signs of early romance in our class. The classroom immediately erupted into an uproar. I felt my face heat up, while Chen Mo remained expressionless, only pausing his pen for a brief moment. I believe, Teacher Li continued, his voice steady and forceful, during the final sprint for the college entrance exams, what every student should care most about is their own studies, not meddling in others' normal interactions. Lu Mingchuan's smile froze on his face. Some students would do better to spend less time watching others and more time reviewing their own exam papers. Teacher Li pulled one out from the stack of test papers. For example, in this third mock exam, someone dropped from the top 100 in the grade to outside the top 200, yet still has the mind to worry about whether others go to the library. The gazes of the entire class instantly turned toward Lu Mingchuan, whose face flushed bright red in an instant, with the veins on his neck clearly visible. Now I'll hand out the test papers. Teacher Li said no more and began calling out names. Chen Mo, 148 points, first place in the grade. When Chen Mo stepped forward to receive his test paper, Teacher Li patted his shoulder and said, keep it up. Lin Xiaoman, 143 points, third place in the grade. As I walked up to the podium, Teacher Li gave me a slight smile and said, you've made great progress. I took the exam paper, the weight in my heart finally lifting. As I walked back to my seat, I unintentionally caught Lu Mingchuan's gaze. His eyes burned with rage and resentment, but I simply shifted my gaze away calmly. The bell rang for the end of class, and students left the classroom in twos and threes for lunch. I deliberately took my time packing up, waiting until everyone had gone before I stood. Unexpectedly, Lu Mingchuan suddenly blocked my way at a corner in the hallway. Satisfied, he said through gritted teeth, now the whole class is laughing at me. You brought this upon yourself, I said coldly. Chen Mo and I are just study partners. What right do you have to slander us? Study partners, Lu Mingchuan sneered. The whole class can see that he likes you, so what? I looked straight into his eyes. Who I spend time with is my freedom. It's not your place to interfere. You, he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Lin Xiaoman, you've changed. You never used to treat me like this before. Let go of me. I struggled to break free. Lu Mingchuan, wake up. I'm not that silly girl who revolved around you anymore. I have my own life, my own goals, and you, I deliberately looked him up and down. You've even bombed the third mock exam, and you still have the time to meddle in other people's business. His face instantly turned deathly pale, as if he had been stabbed right through the heart. I turned and walked away, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. But my steps were surprisingly firm. As I turned the corner of the Hallway, I nearly collided with someone. Chen-mo, he stood against the wall, holding 2 exercise books in his hands, clearly having heard the entire conversation just now. Sorry, I awkwardly lowered my head. No need to apologize. He handed me one of the exercise books. Are you going to the library this weekend? I looked up at him. Sunlight streamed through the corridor window, casting a bright outline around him. His expression remained calm, but there was a warmth in his eyes I had never seen before. Let's go. I took the exercise book, a smile unconsciously curling at the corners of my mouth. Of course I'll go. We walked side by side back to the classroom for evening self-study. Neither of us brought up what had just happened again. Under the astonished gazes of our classmates, we confidently sat back down in our own seats. Now, absolutely no one can stand in the way of my goal. 2 weeks before the college entrance exam, the air was thick with tension and anticipation. The classroom was no longer filled with idle chatter or playful noise, and even break times grew so quiet that only the rustle of turning pages and the scratching of pens could be heard. I buried myself in an ocean of practice questions, tackling 3 sets of past exam papers daily, organizing an error notebook, and memorizing key knowledge points. The notes Chen-mo had given me were already frayed at the edges from frequent use, densely covered with my annotations. Lin Xiaoman, the homeroom teacher wants to see you in the office. Class monitor Li Xiaoqing called from the doorway. I put down my pen, rubbing my sore wrist as I headed toward the teacher's office. Passing the infirmary on the way, I glimpsed Lu Mingchuan sitting inside through the half-open door. The school doctor was taking his blood pressure. His face was pale, with heavy dark circles under his eyes, looking utterly exhausted. Ever since the results of the 3rd mock exam came out, Lu Mingchuan's condition has been going from bad to worse. I heard that his parents are very dissatisfied with his grades and have hired 3 tutors to take turns tutoring him, but it's had little effect. A few times, while studying late in the library, I saw him running alone on the track field, desperately venting his emotions. Report. I gently knocked on the office door. Come in. Ms. Li, the homeroom teacher, looked up and saw me. A smile appearing on her face. Lin Xiaoman, take a seat. I sat in the chair across from her and noticed my college preference form spread out on the desk. On the first choice, it was clearly written, Clinical Medicine at Capital Medical University. I've reviewed your application. It's quite ambitious. Teacher Li adjusted his glasses. With your current grades, as long as you perform normally, getting into Capital Medical University shouldn't be a problem. I nodded, my heart racing. The dream of my past life finally had a chance to be realized in this one. However, Teacher Li shifted the topic. I've heard you've been studying very intensively lately. Some classmates mentioned you often stay in the library until closing time and are the first one in the classroom in the morning. I pressed my lips together. The college entrance exam is approaching. I want to push myself a little harder. Working hard is a good thing, but it must be done in moderation. Teacher Li's voice softened. Health is the foundation of everything, especially if you want to study medicine. You should understand this all the more. I looked down at my hands. The knuckles were slightly red from writing for too long, and my fingernails were trimmed extremely short. I understand, teacher. I'll make sure to rest. Oh, right, Teacher Li said, as if suddenly remembering something. Lu Mingchuan's parents came to see me yesterday. They wanted to ask if you could help tutor him. I know you two grew up together. I looked up abruptly. Teacher, I refuse. Mr. Li seemed not to have expected me to be so straightforward. His situation is indeed quite difficult. His grades have been steadily declining. Teacher, I took a deep breath. It's not that I'm unwilling to help a classmate, but it's the crucial sprint phase now, and every minute is precious. Lu Mingchuan has a tutor and parental support, while I can only rely on myself. Mr. Li looked at me for a long time, then finally nodded. You're right. It was inconsiderate of me. Prepare well for the college entrance exam. I believe you'll achieve excellent results. Leaving the office, I let out a long sigh. In my past life, I would have agreed to such a request without hesitation, even feeling duty-bound, but now, I have finally learned to put my own needs first. On my way home from school, I was stopped at the school gate by Lu Mingchuan's parents. Xiaoman, I'm begging you, Lu Mingchuan's mother said, holding my hand with red-rimmed eyes. Mingchuan's current grades are dangerously close to not making it into any second-tier university. Please help him. For the sake of having grown up together, I gently withdrew my hand. Auntie, I'm sorry, but I really don't have the time. We can pay, Lu Mingchuan's father hurriedly said. 200 yuan an hour. No, 300. I shook my head. It's not about the money. The college entrance exam is coming, and I need to prepare with all my might. how can you be so selfish? Lu Mingchuan's mother's voice suddenly turned sharp. Mingchuan has been so good to you, protecting you since you were kids, and this is how you repay him. I looked at her quietly, suddenly recalling the words she said when she came to visit me in the hospital after I lost my leg in my previous life. Xiaoman, don't worry, our Lu family will take responsibility. Mingchuan will take care of you for a lifetime. At that time I thought it was concern, but later I came to understand it was only guilt and charity. After marriage, they allowed Lu Mingchuan to subject me to cold violence, and even repeatedly advised me to consider surrogacy. How laughable, Auntie, I said calmly. Lu Mingchuan has professional tutors, and I am just a student. You should trust the professionals rather than pinning your hopes on me. After speaking, I gave a slight bow and turned to leave, ignoring their shouts behind me. Only after turning the corner did I realize my hands were trembling, and I had to stop and take several deep breaths to calm down. Returning home, Mom was in the kitchen preparing dinner. I put down my backpack and hesitated for a moment before telling her about encountering Lu Mingchuan's parents. Mom put down the kitchen knife and wiped her hands. They called me this afternoon too. What? I widened my eyes. Mom sighed. I turned them down directly. Your focus right now should be on preparing for the exam. Where would you find time to tutor someone else? I walked over and hugged her. Thanks, Mom, silly child. Mom patted my back. Before, I was wrong, always telling you to take care of Mingchuan, thinking girls should be sensible and considerate. Now I understand, you have to take responsibility for your own life first. My nose tingled with emotion, and I buried my face in my mom's shoulder. In my past life, my mom had held me just like this, crying, I'm sorry, after my amputation, but by then, everything was too late. After dinner, I got a call from Chinemo, asking me to meet on the school rooftop. This was the first time we weren't meeting at the library to study, so I was a bit puzzled, but I still went on time. On that early summer night, a gentle breeze swept across the rooftop, and the city lights twinkled like stars in the distance. Chinemo leaned against the railing, looking up at the night sky. Coming, he heard footsteps and turned to look at me. What's up? I walked over to him and asked curiously. He handed me a bottle of warm milk. Relax a bit, you've been too tense lately. I took the milk and took small sips. The warm liquid slid down my throat, easing the fatigue of the day. Thank you. I smiled at him. I am indeed a bit tired. Look, Chinemo suddenly pointed at the sky, the Big Dipper. I followed his pointing direction and saw 7 bright stars forming the shape of a ladle in the night sky. Over there is the constellation Aquila. Chenmo's voice sounded especially gentle in the night. The brightest one in the middle is Altair. I looked at him in surprise. You study astronomy too? Occasionally. He pushed up his glasses. When I was a kid, my dad often took me to look at the stars. He said the universe is vast, and human troubles are tiny. I tilted my head back and gazed at the vast expanse of the starry sky. Suddenly, I felt that my own anxiety and stress were truly insignificant. No matter what the outcome of the college entrance exam might be, this would not be the end of my life. Chinemo, I asked softly, why do you want to study medicine? He fell silent for a moment. My mother had a congenital heart condition and passed away last year. That's when I decided I wanted to be a cardiac surgeon. My heart tightened sharply. I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's okay. He shook his head. How about you? Why surgery? I gazed at the distant lights as memories from my past life flooded in like a tide. I once dreamed of losing both my legs. I know the despair and helplessness that comes with it. If I could become a surgeon, perhaps I could help more people like me. This was the first time since my rebirth that I had mentioned my previous life to anyone, even if I used a dream as my excuse. The night concealed my trembling hands. Chinemo didn't press further, only replying with a soft, We stood side by side like that, gazing at the stars, each lost in our own thoughts. A peculiar tranquility and unspoken understanding flowed between us. Do your best on the college entrance exam, Chinemo suddenly said as I was about to leave. I nodded. You too. The days that followed seemed to press the fast-forward button. Each day repeated the cycle of answering questions, correcting mistakes, and reviewing. My book of incorrect problems grew thinner, but my confidence grew stronger. 3 days before the Gaokao, school let out so we could review on our own. While organizing my final set of knowledge points at home, I suddenly received a call from Su Yuan, Lin Xiaoman. Her voice carried a sense of urgency. Lu Mingchuan just asked if we could meet after school, saying he has something important to give me. I turned him down, but he seems determined to wait for me near my home. My heart sank abruptly. Today, in my previous life, was the day I got into a car accident while delivering Lu Mingxuan's love letter to Su Yuan. He might want to personally deliver the love letter to you. I tried to keep my voice steady. How annoying, Su Yuan complained. I've clearly rejected him several times already. By the way, my cousin mentioned if you're free, we could go to the library tomorrow for a last-minute study session. Alright, I agreed, but after hanging up the phone, I fell into deep thought. Lu Mingxuan is about to personally deliver a love letter. History seems to be repeating itself, only with the roles reversed. If he goes to deliver the letter, will he get into a car accident like I did in my previous life? Should I warn him? My finger hovers over Lu Mingxuan's name in my phone contacts, but I hesitate to tap it. His cruel words from my past life echo in my ears. You're just a cripple. How could you ever compare to Yuan if you hadn't meddled by delivering that letter and gotten into an accident? Why would I have been forced to marry you? I locked my phone screen, picked up my pen again, and continued reviewing. Everyone has the right to choose their own path and must take responsibility for their choices. This time, I chose to focus on my own future. The college entrance examination arrived as scheduled. Sitting in the examination hall, my mood was surprisingly calm. After the test papers were handed out, I focused all my attention on answering the questions. I forgot about time, forgot everything around me, and even forgot that I was a reborn person. At this moment, I was just an ordinary examinee, fighting with all my might for my dreams. When the bell rang for the final subject, I put down my pen and let out a long sigh. It's over, no matter the outcome. I gave it my all. Stepping out of the exam hall, the sunlight was so bright it almost stung. Mom was waiting for me at the school gate, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. Congratulations on finishing the gaokao, my girl. She hugged me, the floral scent lingering at the tip of my nose. Mom, did Lu Mingxuan take the exam? I hesitated for a moment, but asked anyway. Mom's expression turned complicated. He had an accident the night before last. He was hit by a car, his right leg was seriously injured, and the surgery lasted several hours. Although I had a premonition, hearing the news firsthand still sent a jolt through my heart. The gears of fate meshed with such precision. Only this time, it was Lu Mingxuan under the wheel, not me. Is it serious? I asked softly. I heard he might need an amputation. Mom sighed. His parents are nearly falling apart. He's their only son. I didn't say anything, just held my mom tightly. If I hadn't been reborn, it would be my parents who were broken now. After returning home, I shut myself in my room, lying on the bed and staring at the ceiling. Logically, I should have felt the satisfaction of revenge, but strangely, all I felt was a deep weariness and a sense of relief. 3 days after the college entrance exams ended, my mom finally told me the details of Lu Mingxuan's condition after his surgery. His right lower leg was amputated, she said while cutting fruit. I heard his recovery isn't going well, there might be an infection. I put down the book in my hand. Should we go see him? Mom looked at me in surprise. You want to go? After all, he's our neighbor, and we grew up together. I said calmly. Basic courtesy is still necessary. That afternoon, I went to the hospital with my parents. Lu Mingxuan's room was filled with flowers and fruit baskets, but his parents looked as if they had aged 10 years. Lu Mingxuan lay on the hospital bed, his right leg covered by a white blanket, noticeably shorter than before. Xiaoman, his eyes lit up when he saw me, then quickly dimmed again. How did your exams go? Not bad, I replied briefly, placing the fruit I brought on the bedside table. How are you feeling? He let out a bitter laugh. What else can I say? I'm a useless man now. Don't say that, Mother Lu interjected with reddened eyes. The doctor said that with a prosthetic leg, you'll still be able to walk. Lu Mingxuan didn't respond, instead looking at me. You must have done well on the exam, right? After all, you studied so hard. I didn't deny it. We'll know when the results come out. I didn't even get to take the college entrance exam. His voice choked up. My life is over. The atmosphere in the hospital room was so heavy it felt suffocating. My parents and Lu Mingxuan's exchanged pleasantries, while I stood to the side, watching the once vibrant young man now lying in bed, wallowing in self-pity. In my previous life, I too had experienced such despair, but at least now I had a chance to start over. Why didn't you come to see me before? Taking advantage of a break in the adults' conversation, Lu Mingxuan suddenly asked me in a low voice. On the day of my accident, I kept calling your name. I looked directly into his eyes. Lu Mingxuan, we're not friends anymore, remember? His face instantly paled. Is it just because I told you not to hang out with Chen Mo? Are you really that heartless? No, because you look down on me, use me, yet never truly respected me, I said calmly. Rest well and recover soon. I wish you a speedy recovery. As we left the hospital, my mother looked at me with concern. Xiao Man, between you and Mingchuan, Mom, I interrupted, we've long since walked different paths. My mother seemed to want to say more but hesitated, ultimately just letting out a sigh and saying nothing further. On the day the college entrance exam results were announced, I sat in front of the computer early in the morning, my finger hovering over the inquiry button. My mom stood nervously behind me, while my dad pretended to read the newspaper calmly, but glanced up at the computer screen every 3 seconds. Check it. Dad finally couldn't hold back. I took a deep breath and clicked the inquiry button. The moment the page refreshed, my eyes immediately scanned toward the total score, 708 points, ranked 66th in the entire province. Ah, Mom screamed and hugged me. My daughter is amazing. Dad threw down the newspaper and hugged us both. Well done. Capital Medical University is as good as secured. I sat there, tears streaming uncontrollably down my face. 708 points, a score I wouldn't have even dared to dream of in my previous life. All the effort and persistence since my rebirth were rewarded in this moment. The days that followed were filled with joy and busyness, submitting college applications, preparing enrollment materials, accepting congratulations from family and friends. My phone was flooded with blessing messages. Even distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years called to offer their congratulations. Xiao Man, we're thinking of holding an admission celebration banquet, Mom suggested during dinner one evening. What do you think about inviting all our relatives and friends to celebrate? All right, I agreed with a smile, but don't go overboard. How can we not make it grand? Mom's eyes sparkled with excitement. In our neighborhood these past few years, you're the only one who got into Capital Medical University, and you even made it into the top 100 in the entire province. The college celebration banquet was scheduled for the weekend at a hotel banquet hall. On that day, I wore a simple white dress, with my hair tied up in a high ponytail, looking neat and fresh. The banquet hall was packed with people, relatives, neighbors, teachers, classmates. Xiao Man, congratulations. Li Shaoqing walked in holding a bouquet of flowers. You and Chen Mo have the best results in our class. You've really brought honor to us. I took the flowers and glanced around the room. Has Chen Mo arrived? I just saw him outside, Li Shaoqing said with a wink. Seems like he has something to say to you in private. My heart suddenly began to race, making an excuse to go to the restroom. I left the banquet hall. Chen Mo was indeed standing by the window in the hallway, the sunlight streaming through the glass and casting a bright outline around him. Congratulations. He saw me and smiled slightly. You're all set for Capital Medical University. Yeah. I walked over to him. What about you? Decided on Capital University. He nodded. Impressive. I said sincerely. We were silent for a moment, when he suddenly turned to face me. Lin Xiaoman, there's something I want to say to you. What is it? I looked up at him, noticing that the tips of his ears were slightly flushed. He took a deep breath. I like you, not just as a study partner, but, Chen Mo, I gently interrupted him. We're still too young right now, with too little life experience. It's easy to mistake friendship for love. His expression froze. Am I being rejected? Not rejection. I weighed my words carefully. It's just that I think we should focus on our studies first. The pressure of medical school is intense, and long-distance relationships are even tougher. If our feelings remain the same in a few years, can we revisit this then? To be honest, I wasn't without affection for Chen Mo, but the emotional wounds from my past life made me hesitant to start a new relationship easily. I needed time, needed space, needed to become a better version of myself first. Chen Mo looked at me for a long time, then finally nodded. I understand, but I'll wait. My heart ached as he turned and walked away, but I knew it was the right decision. Returning to the banquet hall, I was immediately enveloped in a joyful atmosphere. Classmates swarmed around me, asking all sorts of questions, and teachers took turns coming over to offer congratulations. Amidst the laughter and chatter, my eyes fell on a solitary figure in the corner. Lu Mingchuan. He sat in a wheelchair, the right leg of his trousers hanging empty and limp. No one was talking to him, no one even glanced his way. In my previous life, I would have rushed to his side at such moments, always fearing he might feel lonely, but now, I choose to remain in the crowd, accepting the blessings and glory that belong to me. As the banquet drew to a close, Lu Mingchuan wheeled his chair over, blocking my path. Satisfied, he rasped, his voice hoarse, seeing me like this. Are you happy? I looked at him calmly. I don't understand what you mean. You could have stopped me. His eyes were bloodshot. If you had agreed to deliver my love letter earlier, I wouldn't have ended up in this mess. My heart skipped a beat. You, Lu Mingchuan, you're still as selfish as ever. With a scornful laugh, I turned and walked toward my parents who were waiting for me. Behind me, Lu Mingchuan's hysterical shouts were soon drowned out by the music and laughter from the banquet hall. Are you all right? Mom asked worriedly. What did he say to you? Nothing, I said, linking arms with my mom. Let's go home. Stepping out of the hotel, the stars in the summer night sky were exceptionally bright. I looked up, searching for the Big Dipper, and thought back to my conversation with Chen Mo on the rooftop. No matter what lies ahead, at least for now, my life is moving in the right direction. The admission letter from Capital Medical University arrived a week later, holding the weighty envelope in my hands. I gently traced the gilded letters of the university's name as tears blurred my vision. The ginkgo leaves at Capital Medical University turned yellow, then green, then yellow again. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. I stood before the surgical residency bulletin board at the teaching hospital, my fingers lightly tracing the announcement bearing my name and photo. Lin Xiaoman, orthopedic surgery resident. Sunlight streamed through the corridor window, falling upon the paper as if it were shining directly into my heart. Congratulations, Dr. Lin. Head nurse Wang Jia walked over with a smile. I heard you turned down the offer from Johns Hopkins. That's an opportunity many dream of. I smiled, tucking a stray strand of hair behind my ear. There's a greater need for good orthopedic surgeons back home. Over the past decade, Chen Mo and I have maintained an on and off connection. He completed dual degrees in medicine and biology at Capital University and is now pursuing an MD PhD at Harvard. Occasionally, we would discuss academic questions on WeChat or recommend the latest medical papers to each other. Every time he returned to China, we would meet at a cafe near our alma mater and talk for hours. Dr. Lin, operating room 3 is ready, intern Zhang said, poking his head in to notify me. I nodded and quickly made my way toward the operating room. Today's procedure was a complex total knee replacement, and the patient was a 70-year-old retired teacher. Scrubbing, disinfecting, and donning the surgical gown, these steps had become as natural and automatic to me as breathing under the shadowless lamp. The moment the scalpel cuts through the skin, I still feel a profound sense of sacred duty. Every time I pick up the scalpel, it feels like redemption for my past self who lost both legs. The surgery lasted 3 hours and was completed smoothly. Stepping out of the operating room, I took off my mask and let out a long sigh. A nurse handed me my phone, which showed 3 missed calls, all from Chen Mo. I called back, and the phone was answered almost immediately. Xiaoman, Chen Mo's voice came through the phone. I'm back in the country. All right, I'll treat you to a meal. I walked toward the doctor's lounge and poured myself a glass of water. About Su Yuan and Lu Mingchuan, did you know? He paused for a moment. They got married. My hand trembled, and the glass almost fell to the ground. What? It happened last year. Su Yuan was forced into it. The Lu family threatened to sue her for causing Lu Mingchuan's car accident if she didn't marry him. Chen Mo's voice carried a suppressed anger. They're a bunch of shameless scoundrels, relentlessly persistent. Su Yuan's parents are timid and afraid of trouble, so they pressured her into agreeing. I leaned against the wall, the image of Su Yuan's once spirited and confident face floating before my eyes. The scene from my past life overlapped with the present, only the roles were completely reversed. How is she doing now? I whispered. Not well, Chen Mo sighed. Lu Mingchuan's leg injury has never fully recovered, often requiring surgeries. He's become very irritable, and towards Su Yuan, he hasn't been treating her well. I only found out about this recently. My fingernails unconsciously dug into the palm of my hand. After hanging up the phone, I stood by the window, gazing at the distant city skyline. 10 years had passed. I thought I had completely let go of the past, but upon hearing this news, a dull ache still welled up in my chest. It wasn't for Lu Mingchuan, but for Su Yuan, the girl I thought was my love rival in my previous life, only to realize now that she too was a victim. After work, instead of heading straight home, I drove to my alma mater high school. It was dismissal time on campus. Students in uniforms swarmed out of the teaching building, laughing and chatting, their youthful faces filled with anticipation for the future. Standing by the edge of the sports field, I faintly saw my former self, that foolish girl who once ran around for Lu Mingchuan. Xiaoman, is that really you? A familiar voice came from behind. I turned around and saw my homeroom teacher, Ms. Li. The wrinkles at the corners of her eyes had deepened, but her smile was as warm as ever. Ms. Li, I exclaimed in surprise. Stepping forward, I heard you've become an orthopedic surgeon. I'm so proud of you, she said, taking my hands and looking me over. The little girl who suddenly clicked in class back then has really made her dream come true. My nose suddenly ached. Thank you for your encouragement. Come to my office and sit for a while. Teacher Lee warmly invited me. Coincidentally, next month the school plans to invite a few outstanding alumni back to give lectures. Are you interested? Following Teacher Lee through the familiar hallway, my gaze involuntarily drifted toward the classroom where I had spent my senior year of high school. Through the window, I seemed to catch a glimpse of Chen Mo's profile as he bowed his head to take notes, and the scene of Lu Mingchuan turning back to smile at me. Those memories had already grown so distant, as if they were someone else's story. Mr. Lee's office was covered with graduation photos from over the years. I found the one from our class and gently ran my fingers over those youthful faces. Lu Mingchuan stood in the back row, his smile bright and radiant. Su Yuan was in the center of the front row, dazzlingly beautiful. Chen Mo was slightly behind me to the side, looking serious, and as for me, I could hardly recognize that shyly smiling girl. Have you heard about Lu Mingchuan? Mr. Lee handed me a cup of tea and suddenly asked. I nodded. I just heard he got married. That child has changed so much. Teacher Lee sighed. Ever since the car accident, he's been completely different. He came to last year's class reunion, sitting in a wheelchair, barking orders at Su Yuan. It was heartbreaking to watch. Who broke your heart? I asked softly. Both of them. Teacher Lee looked at me with sad eyes. That girl Su Yuan. She was so proud back then, but now all her spirit has been worn away. Lu Mingchuan too, from a sunny teenager to what he is now. I lowered my head, gazing at my reflection in the teacup, and said nothing. Wasn't I the same in my past life? From a high school student full of dreams, to a resentful woman trapped in a wheelchair and a failed marriage. It's really heartwarming to see you as you are now. Mrs. Lee patted my hand. You've proven that no matter what happens, a person can always choose to stand up and move forward. By the time I left the school, the sun was already setting in the west. Standing at the school gate, I looked back at the building that held so many memories. One last time, no matter what the future holds, at least at this moment, I am no longer that poor wretch who could be pushed around by anyone. The phone rang again, showing the number of the hospital emergency department. Dr. Lin, we have a complicated case that requires your consultation, the on-duty doctor said urgently. The patient has a severe infection in an old injury on the right leg, accompanied by osteomyelitis. Emergency surgery might be necessary. I'll be right there, I replied, quickly making my way to the parking lot. Upon returning to the hospital, I headed straight for the consultation room. Through the glass window, I saw several doctors gathered inside. The persons sitting on the hospital bed had their back to the door, but I recognized that figure at a single glance. Even after 10 years apart, I would never mistake it. Lu Mingchuan. My hand paused on the doorknob for a second before I pushed the door open and entered. Dr. Lin is here. Professor Wang, the chief physician, called out to me. This patient underwent a right lower leg amputation 10 years ago. For the past 6 months, the stump has been repeatedly infected, and multiple surgeries at other hospitals have proven ineffective. Considering your specialization in complex bone trauma and infections, we wanted your opinion. I walked to the bedside and finally got a clear look at Lu Mingchuan's face. He had become much thinner than I remembered, with heavy dark circles under his eyes, his lips turned downward, his whole demeanor exuding a gloomy aura. The moment he saw me, his eyes widened instantly, his lips trembling but unable to form words. Let me see the medical records, I said calmly, taking the folder handed by the resident physician and flipping through it professionally. Lin Xiaoman, Lu Mingchuan finally found his voice. You've become a doctor. Dr. Lin is the youngest orthopedic attending physician at our hospital, Professor Wang proudly introduced. I pretended not to notice Lu Mingchuan's stunned expression and focused on the medical record. The situation was indeed complicated. Multiple failed surgeries, drug-resistant bacterial infection, tissue necrosis at the stump end. The slightest misstep could lead to a second amputation, or even endanger his life. Immediate surgical debridement is needed, combined with sensitive antibiotics. I closed the medical record. If the infection isn't well controlled, we may need to consider a higher level amputation. No, Lu Mingchuan suddenly became agitated. No more amputations. I've already. His voice choked up, his eyes frantically searching for something. Just then, the consultation room door was pushed open, and a haggard woman hurried in, clutching a stack of payment slips. It was Su Yuan. I could hardly recognize her. Her once jet black, glossy long hair had been cut into a dry, short bob, her eyes had lost their sparkle, the corners of her mouth drooping downward. It was as if all the life had been drained from her. When she saw me, she clearly faltered for a moment, then lowered her head and quietly stood next to Lu Mingchuan. "This is the patient's family member," the resident doctor introduced. "My wife," Lu Mingchuan emphasized, looking at me with a strange gaze, as if both challenging and anticipating something. I nodded and turned to Su Yuan professionally. "The patient's condition is quite severe and requires immediate surgery. As the family member, please sign the surgical consent form." Su Yuan took the document, her fingers trembling slightly. She glanced up at me, a flicker of complex emotion in her eyes, then silently signed her name. "Surgery is scheduled for the first operation tomorrow morning," I told the team. "Tonight, we'll increase the antibiotics and closely monitor body temperature and blood counts." After the consultation, I walked briskly toward the office, my heart pounding violently in my chest. 10 years, I never expected to meet again under such circumstances. Even more unexpected was that seeing Lu Mingchuan and Su Yuan now, I felt not a trace of satisfaction in my heart, only a profound sorrow. "Dr. Lin," a voice called out to me. Turning around, I saw Su Yuan catching up, panting heavily. "Can I help you?" I stopped in my tracks. She bit her lip, seeming to struggle with what to say. In the end, she just whispered softly, "Please, give him a proper surgery. Although he's still after all." "Su Yuan," I cut her off. "I am a doctor, and regardless of who the patient is, I will do my best to treat them. It's a matter of professional ethics." She lifted her head, tears welling in her eyes. "Thank you, and also, I'm sorry." "Why are you apologizing?" For everything." Her voice was so soft it was barely audible. "I don't know, maybe it's my retribution." I took a deep breath. "It's not your fault," I said, looking at this pitiful girl who had been emotionally manipulated by Lu Mingchuan for half her life. She looked at me in surprise, seemingly not expecting me to say that. "Go back and rest." I handed her a tissue. "Tomorrow's surgery will be a long one." As I turned to leave, something suddenly occurred to me. I looked back and asked, "Does Chen Imo know you're at the hospital?" She shook her head. "Don't tell him, I don't want him to worry." That night, I tossed and turned in the hospital duty room. At 3 in the morning, I got up and went to check on Lu Mingchuan in his ward. He was half leaning against the bed, staring blankly out the window into the night. When he saw me come in, his eyes lit up. "Xiaoman, I knew you would come." "Routine ward round," I said calmly, checking his and vital signs. "You know what?" His voice was hoarse. "These 10 years, I've thought of you every day. I regret not cherishing you back then." My hand paused briefly, then I continued recording the data on the monitor. "I'm so glad to see how well you're doing now." He reached out to take my hand, but I deftly avoided it. "Patient, please maintain emotional stability. It's very important for the surgery," I said in a businesslike manner. "Don't be like this." His voice took on a pleading tone. "I know you hate me, but I truly know I was wrong. I married Su Yuan because my parents forced me. I never loved her." I looked up at him, suddenly feeling utterly absurd. This was almost an exact replica of what he had said to Su Yuan in my past life, only with the roles reversed. "You know," I said softly, "I once had an amputation." He froze. "What? In another timeline, another life?" I gazed calmly into his eyes. "I was in a car accident delivering a love letter for you to Su Yuan, lost my right leg, and missed the college entrance exam. Out of guilt, your parents forced you to marry me, but you hated me to the core. In the end, you abandoned me and went abroad with Su Yuan." His face turned deathly pale. What are you talking about?" "You know exactly what I'm talking about." I took out my phone and quietly pressed the record button. "Lu Mingchuan, in any reality, you always shift the blame onto others. Do you really believe you bear no responsibility at all?" His breathing grew rapid. I haven't. It was clearly you who insisted on giving Su Yuan that love letter. Why won't you admit it now?" "Yes, I was infatuated at the time, but now I realize it's you I love. Now it's your turn to taste that feeling." I took a step closer. "Trapped in an incomplete body, relying on someone who doesn't love you, living in regret every day. How does it feel, Xiaoman?" Tears welled up in his eyes. "Please, forgive me, give me a chance. I'll divorce Su Yuan, I'll provide you with the best medical care." I took a step back, because that's my professional duty, but beyond that, there's nothing left between us. With that, I turned and left, and at the moment the door closed, I could hear his muffled sobs. In the hallway, I paused, saved the recording I had just made, and sent it to Su Yuan, adding a message: "You deserve to know the truth, and you deserve a better life." On the day of the surgery, I arrived at the hospital an hour early. Standing before the bathroom mirror, I carefully washed my hands and scrubbed them clean, repeating the mechanical motions I had performed thousands of times before. The icy water washed over my arms, washing away the last traces of hesitation and uncertainty. Today, I was not Lin Xiaoman, but Dr. Lin, a professional orthopedic surgeon. The operating room was fully prepared. The anesthetist, the scrub nurse, and the circulating nurse were all in their positions. Under the shadowless lamp, Lu Mingchuan lay quietly on the operating table, already anesthetized. "Surgery begins," I announced. Reaching out to take the scalpel the nurse handed me, the moment the blade cut through the skin, my world shrank until nothing remained but the surgical field in front of me. Infected tissue, damaged bone, remnants of sutures, every issue lay bare before my eyes. A decade of medical training combined with first-hand experience from my past life granted me an extraordinary understanding of such trauma. Electrosurgical knife. I reached out my hand, and the scrub nurse precisely placed the instrument into it. The surgery lasted 6 hours. We thoroughly debrided the infected necrotic tissue, repaired the damaged bone structure, and preserved the residual limb length to the greatest extent possible. By the time the final suture was placed, my surgical gown was soaked through with sweat. "Surgery successful," I announced, straightening my back wearily but with satisfaction. "Take him to the recovery room, monitor vital signs closely." Stepping out of the operating room, I ran straight into Su Yuan, who had been waiting anxiously. She looked as though she hadn't slept all night, her eyes red and swollen, clutching a crumpled tissue in her hand. "How did it go?" she asked urgently. "The surgery was a success," I said, removing my mask. "The source of infection has been cleared, and the remaining limb has been preserved, but he'll need long-term rehabilitation treatment moving forward." Her shoulders slumped at once, as if a heavy burden had finally been lifted. "Thank you, truly, thank you so much." "No need to thank me," I said wearily, rubbing my temples. "It's my job." After a moment's hesitation, I finally asked the question that had been weighing on my mind: "Did you listen to the recording?" Su Yuan nodded, a flicker of pain crossing her eyes. "I did, but the truth is, I didn't really need to hear it. Ever since we got married, he often calls out your name in his sleep and then curses me for not being you." My heart ached as if pricked by a needle. "Su Yuan, you don't have to live like this." "I know," she let out a bitter laugh. "But my parents are afraid the Lu family will retaliate." I don't know what to do." "Does Chen Imo know about your situation?" She shook her head. "I don't want him to worry. He's already busy enough overseas." "Silly," I couldn't help but say. "Family is meant to rely on in times like these. If Chen Imo knew you were suffering like this without telling him, that would truly break his heart." Su Yuan's tears finally fell. I really can't hold on anymore." I took her to the doctor's lounge and poured her a glass of warm water. She recounted the past 10 years. In broken fragments, forced into marriage, giving up the opportunity to study abroad, caring day and night for the temperamental Lu Mingchuan, and enduring the cold remarks from Lu's parents. "They think I'm the one who ruined Lu Mingchuan." Su Yuan wiped away her tears, saying that if I hadn't rejected his love letter that night, he wouldn't have gotten into the car accident. "That's not your fault," I said firmly. "Everyone must take responsibility for their own choices." Lu Mingchuan chose to speed on that rainy day, and the consequences naturally fall on him alone. Su Yuan looked up at me, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "You really think so?" "Of course." I took her cold hand in mine. "Su Yuan, you're only 28. You still have a long life ahead of you. Don't follow in some people's footsteps." "I want a divorce," Su Yuan said suddenly, her voice soft but firm. "But the Lu family won't agree. They said if I dared to get a divorce, they'd make it impossible for my parents to stay in this city." I thought for a moment before suddenly an idea came to me. What if there was evidence proving Lu Mingchuan mentally abused you, like a recording? Su Yuan's eyes lit up. "You mean, the recording I sent you yesterday, along with his usual verbal abuse towards you, should be enough to apply for a protective order and divorce?" I said. "I can help you contact a lawyer. And Chen Imo will definitely support you too." "Xiaoman." Tears welled up in Su Yuan's eyes again. Why are you helping me? I was the one who." "Because we are both victims," I said softly, "and, after all, a doctor's heart is a benevolent one." 3 days later, Lu Mingchuan fully regained consciousness from the anesthesia. When I went on my rounds, he was half leaning on the bed, gazing out the window at the sunlight with a complex expression on his face. Su-yuan wasn't in the room. She had already taken the recording I provided and the documents prepared by her lawyer to file for divorce. The surgery was a success, I said, checking his wound. If you recover well, you can have a new prosthetic fitted in 2 months. Lu Mingchuan turned to look at me, a vulnerability and confusion in his eyes I had never seen before. Su-yuan is gone. I didn't stop what I was doing with my hands. She said she wants a divorce. His voice trembled. She said she's never coming back. I didn't respond, continuing to record his vital signs. Xiao Man. He suddenly grabbed my wrist. I really have nothing left now. Please, give me another chance. Okay, I swear I will. Lu Mingchuan. I calmly withdrew my hand. Did I ever tell you how you treated me in another timeline? When I needed you most, you chose someone else. His face instantly drained of color. Now you understand the pain I felt then. I looked directly into his eyes. But that doesn't mean I'll repeat your mistakes. I have my own life, my career, someone I care about. Chen Mo. He let out a bitter laugh. So it is him. This is none of your business. I closed the medical record. Get some rest, and we'll start rehabilitation training tomorrow. Stepping out of the ward, I let out a long sigh, as if I had finally set down a burden I had carried for years. The thrill of revenge. No, all I felt was a profound sense of relief. Everything from my past life was finally coming to a close at this moment. My phone vibrated. A message from Chen Mo. Su-yuan has told me everything. Thank you for your help. When are you free? I'd like to see you. I replied. Let's wait until Lu Mingchuan is discharged from the hospital. I want to focus on completing this round of treatment. A month later, Lu Mingchuan's wounds had healed well enough for him to be transferred to the rehabilitation center. The divorce proceedings had also been initiated. Su-yuan had temporarily stayed in the United States, preparing to reapply for her interrupted studies. On the day Lu Mingchuan was discharged from the hospital, his parents came to pick him up. When his mother saw me, a trace of awkwardness and shame flashed in her eyes. Dr. Lin, she hesitated before speaking. Thank you for treating my son. In the past, I shook my head and said, I just did what a doctor should do. As I turned to leave, I heard a clattering sound of items falling to the floor. Lu Mingchuan called my name from behind, but I didn't look back. 2 weeks after Lu Mingchuan was discharged from the hospital, I met with Chen Mo at a cafe near our alma mater. A decade had passed, and Chen Mo's demeanor had become more composed, with an added firmness in his brow, a maturity unique to grown men. Dressed simply in a white shirt and dark trousers, his eyes behind gold-rimmed glasses lit up when he saw me. Xiao Man. He stood up and pulled out the chair for me. You've lost weight, the usual for a surgeon. I sat down with a smile. How is Su-yuan doing? Much better. Chen Mo slid over a latte I had already ordered. She's preparing to reapply for MIT's doctoral program. The divorce proceedings are going smoothly. The Lu family didn't dare to cause any more trouble after hearing those recordings. I nodded and took a small sip of my coffee, letting the warm liquid slide down my throat. Thank you, Chen Mo suddenly said. If it weren't for you, Su-yuan might have been trapped in that marriage for the rest of her life. I just did what needed to be done. I put down my cup. By the way, how is your research at Harvard going? Chen Mo's eyes instantly lit up, and he began to speak at length about his project, applying gene editing technology in bone regeneration. As I listened, I couldn't help but smile. He was still the same Chen Mo who couldn't stop talking about medicine, only now he seemed more confident and passionate. Actually, he suddenly changed the subject. Aside from handling Su-yuan's affairs, there's another reason I'm back this time. What is it? I asked curiously. He took a small box from his pocket and pushed it toward me. My heart suddenly raced as my trembling fingers opened the box. Inside wasn't a ring, but a uniquely shaped badge engraved with the words, Harvard-MIT Health Sciences and Technology Joint Program. I want to invite you to join my research team, Chen Mo said calmly, but with a fiery look in his eyes. Combining your clinical experience with my basic research could lead to groundbreaking work in the field of bone regeneration. I picked up the badge, and sunlight streaming through the window refracted into a spectrum of colors on its surface. Is this a job offer? More than that, Chen Mo took a deep breath. It's also the beginning of me pursuing you again. 10 years ago, you said we were too young. Now, I think we've both matured enough to know what we truly want. Looking at the man who has accompanied me through the most crucial years of my rebirth, a warm current surged in my chest. In my previous life, I never experienced healthy love, but in this lifetime, Chen Mo, in his own way, has taught me what respect, understanding, and support truly mean. I need some time to think about it. I finally said, my work is here, and my patients need me, of course. Chen Mo nodded, whatever decision you make, I'll support you. When we left the cafe, the sunset was perfect, stretching our shadows long across the ground. Chen Mo's hand occasionally brushed against mine, warm and reassuring. By the way, he suddenly remembered something. Next month is the school anniversary, teacher. Li invited us to give a speech. Are you going? Yes, I answered without hesitation. I want to tell those kids that no matter what they face, life always gives you a second chance. 1 year later, Chen Mo and I held a simple wedding in the United States. The night before the ceremony, I received a text from an unknown number. Congratulations, I owe you an apology, and also a thank you, Lu Mingchuan. I didn't reply, just silently deleted the text message. According to Su Yuan, Lu Mingchuan's father passed away not long ago. To support his family, Lu Mingchuan left the rehabilitation center early, and it's unclear what job he's doing now, but I no longer care. Whether he's doing well or poorly now has nothing to do with me. It's all his own doing. At the wedding, when Chen Mo placed a specially made ring on my finger, inscribed inside with the words, to heal, to love, to grow, I looked up at the man who would become my husband, my heart filled with a calm joy. Instead of exchanging expensive diamond rings, we chose these special surgical steel rings, symbolizing both our profession and the strong, pure bond between us. 5 years later, at the school anniversary, Chen Mo and I returned to our alma mater to give a speech with our 3-year-old twins. The 2 children sat in the front row, curiously looking around, while Chen Mo and I stood on the stage, sharing our story. The most wonderful thing about life is, I looked at the young faces in the audience and smiled. It's always full of infinite possibilities, no matter what setbacks you face. Remember, the sun will still rise tomorrow, and you always have the chance to start anew. After the speech, a limping figure quietly left from the back row of the auditorium. I didn't chase after him, nor did my gaze linger for long. On the way home, Chen Mo held a child in each arm, and I walked by his side. The setting sun stretched the shadows of the 4 of us long, blending them together and pointing toward the distant horizon. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.